We gotta go in the sun again. Monday, hot day. To the east, to the north, to the north, to the west, to the east, to the north, to the south. Dragon vs. Storm Special Edition. Auctioning everything that I have wearing on me and gotta get it on that drill for the rock and roll and for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks. You know how it is, I'm a bit moody. I guess I'm gonna take some sun, I'm gonna feel better. Drop some garbage. Read on the moody side. It's because I'm a bit sore, maybe a bit hungry. I ate a bit, so I guess I'm gonna feast when I get back. But yeah, I gotta say my gratitude, you know. Grateful, thankful, rent's paid, electricity bills paid, and gotta go where we're heading, east, west, north, south. No time to over-negotiate, overthink, overdo, to the mountain, roundabout, by the towards the sunset. I guess we can go all the way up. We can decide afterwards. Let's go, let's drill it. No waste time, do a little bit of mathematics. So we're gonna get doing with that, and we're gonna get on that rock and roll for the XYZ and for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, and grocery store clerks, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food, and the firefighters. And on the go now, get it on the go. Yeah. Who's on the go? We gotta get it on the go. And that's all we gotta get doing. Yeah. I'm a bit moody, but now I feel better. So I took a few steps already. Exercise. So good for the mental health. And just gotta watch when you cross the street. You know, you gotta cross prudently and turn your heads left and right. And that's how we gotta get doing, man, you know. We gotta get on that loving side of things. And we gotta get it for today, you know, because you never know, life is short. So you gotta live to the fullest, you know. As I do since I survived COVID in 2020, February, March, you know. That event in my life made it to have on the COVID side of things, and that's how we gotta get doing on that. And COVID was really hardcore for me, you know, 2020. I thought I was gonna die, and that was it with that. And that was my last days. February 2020. Wow. February, March 2020. 5 years for celebrating Martin. 5 years since survived COVID, you know, so it's always a blessing, I guess, every day. My moodiness aside, I'm gonna be thinking about the wildfires, you know. My brothers and sisters up in the west, in the prairies, you know, Manitoba, Saskatchewan. I'm gonna dedicate this to Manitoba, Saskatchewan, you know. Forget about my moodiness. My rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee. And if I see somebody hugging and kissing and giving themselves a little bit of massage, because I wish I could have a massage therapy session to afford it, but I'm gonna take a bath. But you know what? Those wildfires fighters who are fighting the wildfires, and of course the prairies, they deserve it, earning more than yours truly, you know. So I'm gonna wish them millionaires, billionaires, finance them some spa, you know, some spa session therapy, because you know, my blah blah blah, my rock and roll, my dedicating this march to them is part of the individual effort. But of course we gotta get it on the drill with that, and that's what we gotta get doing, you know, take some action. Because I can blah 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 for a long time, you know. It takes some action, some doing, some thinking. Just like now across the North American Collective, there's the truckers, drive safely, and the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the electricians, the plumbers, and you know, all those doing a little bit of that, flipping out those hamburgers, cheeseburgers, the cooks. You know, I gotta be thinking about them, those making minimum wage and those making less than $30 an hour, less than 25, less than 20, less than 25, you know, gotta be thinking about them, you know, with the prices increasing. So March is also for them, and that's why we gotta get that rock and roll, and we always gotta get it on the go to that, and something which we gotta get on the doers, man. Takes the thinkers, the doers, and these beautiful flowers, always refreshing. Yeah. Unedited raw reel, you know, YouTube vlogger, marching vlog for the go, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing on the some loving, you know. I was like, when I see some loving, you know, it's not all about Wall Street, it's not all about the money, you know. Gotta take some love, otherwise what are we fighting to save for, you know? Got a nukes pop off, and independent aspie artist, athlete, philosopher, and geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, and this is what I am, you know, on the daily basis. An artist, athlete, and philosopher, and geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist. Who's gonna be grateful if I get a little bit of that, something in the fridge here, you know. Oh, it's empty. There's something there. I'm gonna leave it for somebody else. And sometimes it's food there. You can take some food, and I wish I could fill it up, you know, fill my backpack. But I got food at home, so that is always something which is important. And maybe something is here. Canola oil. You got some canola oil there. You got something which you can take if you're so inclined to do so. And there's a little bit of powder there. I'm gonna leave it for somebody else. And you got some Canadian. Is this Canadian? 100% pure, product of Canada, but it's half taken, so for somebody else, because I have canola oil at home, so since I do have it, I'm gonna leave it for somebody else, you know. That's how we're gonna rock and roll, leave for others and put for others, and take and give and receive and take and receive. I wish I could fill that whole fridge there. Montreal, Hot Island, you know. My moodiness is a bit dissipating, but I gotta be grateful, you know, because here we go, gonna launch my rock and roll gratitude, grateful, thankful, my rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee, and the crows are cheering for me, I guess, the only ones, my OnlyFans. I don't have an OnlyFans, give some charity on OnlyFans, owners, billionaires, finance the public workers, some massage therapy session, give some charity to the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, and those who pick up the garbage later today. It's Monday, June 2nd, they're gonna come pick up the garbage, so for the garbage collectors as well. Those sanitation workers in the public, you know, we gotta think a little bit about them. And yeah, the crows know my secrets, you know. I love that BDSM switch, androgynous, pansexual, 50-50. Ask artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical theoretical analyst, and theorist who paid my rent, paid my electricity bill, got food and coffee, and I got food, I got coffee at home, you know, maybe for even 2 weeks, maybe. If I elongate the coffee supplies, I guess I can stretch it until maximum 2 weeks, for sure a week. And yes, the crows are cheering me on. I love you also, crows. Priestesses. I was a priestess in a past life, so these are a bit of my priestesses of the goddess reincarnated. I said, we're gonna build our forgotten goddess temple, or what? We're gonna build our forgotten goddess temple? Yes, my loves. I love crows, although hawk is my favorite totem bird. Yes. We're gonna build in the 4 buildings here in the North American Collective. We're gonna build the Forgotten Goddess Temple. On the Canadian-US border, we're gonna build the Forgotten Goddess Temple, and we're gonna build, of course, the Forgotten Goddess GODDSS Temple, and it'll be 11 times bigger than the. It'll be 11 times bigger than the. To be 11 times bigger than the. There's a structure. It's called the Oratory here in Montreal, and we're gonna build a Forgotten Goddess 11 times bigger than the Oratory in Montreal, and the Forgotten Goddess Temple 11 times bigger to be. And the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, whence me and Donald Trump are gonna fight in a boxing match and inaugurate it on the Canadian-US border. Enough. Is gonna be 11 times bigger than the Caesar Superdome. Before it used to be known as the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, and now it's known as the Louisiana Superdome before, so he changed names a few times, just like I'm changing my name, although officially still to get that paper to change the name, so gotta get it on the go and build it 11 times bigger than that Coliseum where my 49ers lost in what's known as the Super Bowl of Hardball Bowl, aka Blackout Bowl, aka Bro Bowl, one of my favorite Super Bowls. That's what it is with that, and here we are, you know, grateful, thankful, rent's paid and electricity bills paid, and this is what we got here, you know, this great, beautiful Hot Island, Montreal, great weather now, and you know, I am grateful, thankful that we still have lots of greenery. See how much green it is, and these beautiful flowers always put a little smile on my face. Yeah, kind of soothes my moodiness, but you know, forget my moodiness. How about those firefighters in Alberta? Firefighters in Saskatchewan, you know, I gotta march for them a little bit. Gonna get that zigzag, and damn, I wish I could afford a massage therapy session or a big hug. I could really use a big hug right now. H-U-G, and hug right now, and that's somebody's holding hands there, so that always gives me hope, I see people holding a little bit of hands, that's course, fighting for and defending for, rather than the millionaires, billionaires all the time, that paper, you know. Somebody loving with that, and that's all we got, and that's all we gotta get doing on the go, you know. So something which we gotta get doing. Here we are, so beautiful. Oh yeah. There we go. What a beautiful, I just wanted to take a turn here. This is really gorgeous. Just this whole plateau here. Wow. It's really nice. Really nice. This is one of the most beautiful, these little white bushes, flowers. As you know from my past videos, I really love them, but these ones are incredible. So now I'm getting a little selfie with them. So there the stars, look at that. Ah, so beautiful. Just gotta smell them a little bit. They have a little bit of scent, but hey, aren't they gorgeous? I gotta do a little bit of rock and roll freestyle. Gotta get it for the rock and roll. Look at the beautiful white flowers. In the bushes for the truckers, firefighters, and the butchers, and the nurses, and the doctors. Gotta give it rainbow dragon as I go up and steal toes. Gotta kiss the white flowers so you know. In Montreal, the island, that's the beauty, that's the paradise. So that you gotta see up in the right, so that you see up in the lights. For the sun is shining. You gotta see it how they smell it, gotta see it how they smell it. Smell it good. A bit of perfume-like smell. So nice. Just lovely. It's so beautiful. Just here in the corner, the whole patch. One of the best corners in the terms of flowers, how you see them. And that's how we gotta get doing with that. And that's how we gotta get doing on the go. And here we are. On the go, man. On the marching dance workout. And grateful, thankful for these beautiful flowers. Just a beauty now. My moodiness dissipated a little bit also. A little bit more. Just felt moody, you know. The moon is getting full, so I guess I'm gonna go to my second home. Let's go. I wasn't decided yet where we're gonna go to my second home, the mountain or my the river, which is my whole home here, Montreal Hawk Island. But I guess we're gonna clock it in, and if I need be to put some of that, of course, some of that perfume or some of that solar cream, sunscreen, and then I'll put some sunscreen, but I think I'll be fine. So here we go. We're gonna dribble it, zigzag it, and go all the way. I guess I almost went to the other way, to the other route. So gotta say my gratitude again. Grateful, thankful. My rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee, and there's children there. Their joy is super important. Security and joy of the children first. And I'm just not gonna cross by that side. I'm just gonna go through here and then zigzag it, you know, and then I can pass by here so I don't interfere with the children's play, because it's important for them to socialize and play. And you know, my social skills are really minimal, you know, due to Asperger's, which is not a mental illness. Once again, it's a neurological mental divergent condition, and we can be pretty weird and awkward and strange and intense and concentrated, and that's all we got, and that's all we're gonna get doing with that, and that's all we gotta get doing on the grow, man. I gotta thank the garbage collectors. Wait. The garbage collectors are gonna pick up the garbage. Gonna salute them. We're gonna go to the lights actually. We're gonna cross properly and we're gonna go to the lights. So always to the garbage collectors, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, include them in this go. For Western Canada Special Marching Edition. I worked out a little bit this morning, and now of course the firefighters, they've got their drills and they got their safety there with the evacuations. Thinking about my fellow Canadians, so it's a special edition this week. I guess I'm going to be dedicating to Western Canada, Saskatchewan, Alberta, Manitoba, Saskatchewan. I think they're starting to be in Alberta, but it's Manitoba, Saskatchewan. And you know, I crossed Canada in 2017, and that event really made me establish a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians. And when I established a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians back then, after that, of course, I established that strong esprit de corps, and Canadians are my family, and that's how we're gonna get rock and roll with that. And gotta get out of the way of the children, because their joy, security first, you know. That's how I rock and roll 24/7, you know. for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the farmers, doctors, grocery store clerks, and all involved in the production, distribution of food. And that's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gotta get rock and rolling, you know. Gotta put a little bit of trash here. Let me see if I got some more trash. I guess I do have an extra trash I'm gonna put there, so I'm gonna discard the trash. Oh, I can cross to the other side. I'm just gonna go around about it. I don't want to go inside because you never know. I'm gonna wash my hands if I do, you know, because although I guess you don't touch much because of the sliding electronic doors. So go Alberta, go Manitoba, go Saskatchewan special edition. I feel less and less moody with every step, you know, but I got a lot of grateful things to be for, gratitude and grateful, thankful. My rent's paid and electricity bills paid, and got food, got coffee, and got the butchers, got the bakers, got the nurses, and got the doctors also. Got to think about those truckers, you know, on the train now, and about the truckers, the doctors, the firefighters, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food, the fast food workers. How many burgers have been flipped across the 63, the Collectif, across the kingdom, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, the 10 provinces, 50 states and 3 territories, 10 plus 50 plus 3, that's 63. So gotta be thinking about that, how much in terms of the percentage wise, you know, which we have to get meditative about to kind of know, because there's a number, definite number in real time, but burgers are being flipped now, labor work is being done now, and you know, due to the ASPE condition, ASPEs can be pretty intense, pretty concentrated, pretty focused, especially when we're involved in those, of course, special interests, of which yours truly gotta get it. Look at these beauties, aren't they just so beautiful here? Wow, this one is really gorgeous. This one too. See, that one is blue and white, and that one's pretty gorgeous. So wow, quite a beautiful garden here. It's close to the garden. You can garden, and wow, look at these flowers. I'm gonna smell and I'm gonna feel much better. Yeah. Oh yeah, feel much better right now. Feel much better. These flowers paradoxically took my moodiness even more, so I'm feeling much better. Every step I'm taking towards the mountain, I'm feeling much better. Just here I have some experience, you know, experience of the farms, you know. I did urban farming a few times myself in the past years, and I collected, I harvested what I ate, I harvested what I labored for, and it was part of a communal garden. So that's what it is, and part of that community garden there. So it's quite nice. I wonder what they're growing, but it's quite an experience, you know. It's small lots, but it's kind of the same procedure. Small and big lots, the same principles apply, right? Same principles apply. The same principles apply, applicable for the small, medium, and big, and super big lots, right? There's the fertility of the ground, the know-how, the technique, and gotta get some of that sweat, you know. So a little bit about Asperger's, you know. Go Aspies go. I'm part of this tiny small minority of a community. It's been years that I haven't accepted it because I've been diagnosed independently by several people throughout in the past 7-8 years, and only about 3.5 years ago I accepted it because I didn't want to wear the label, the stigma, you know. So Asperger's, being that I'm an Aspie, my brain has these mutations, and Aspies, our brains have these tiny mutation. Of course, the percentage of the brain matter, the brain level with all its intricacies and complexities, it's a small tiny percentile of the mutations. But these mutations account for that difference in how we look at the world and how we process certain things, which can be difficult for us. Social awareness, social communication skills, sometimes things which come naturally for somebody might be very hard for an Aspie, such as personal space. So an Aspie, myself included, I always have to work on it. We tend to breach personal space and get very close to the individual citizen with which we are conversing, right? So it can be so close by 3.5 inches, 4 inches, 5, 6 inches, 7 inches, 8, 9, 10, 11, like, you know, while somebody's used to being a distance from 40 to more than 44, more than 44 inches, even 2-3 feet, right? So things such as These are characteristics, not a symptoms, because of course Asperger is not a mental illness. It is a neurological mental divergent condition, and we have these little characteristics. Of course, in parallel to that, it's also another one is repeating things twice, 3 times. Look at that beautiful red cardinal. Say, go dragon, army, pledge your allegiance, love you, red, red, red. My favorite color, that's what I got, and that's how we got it there. So it's something which we gotta be transmissive of, and we gotta get it on the go for that, and we gotta get it on the do, you know, for the Cardinals cheering me on, and blah, blah, blah. But hey, I appreciate the love and the support, love you back sevenfold. And Asperger's again. We have these characteristics, you know, which due to the mutations of our brain, we see the world in a different manner, and we interact socially in an awkward manner. We might have repetition of words, you know, we might repeat the same sentence twice or the same words, or echolalia is another characteristic, not a symptom, because Asperger's is not a mental illness. Please, please, please. I got upset the other 2 weeks ago, and so I was having a conversation with a fellow citizen in French, and he said in French, "C'est une maladie, oui je connais, c'est une maladie." He said, "Yeah, I know what Asperger's is. It's a sickness, illness." I said, no, it's not a sickness, it's not an illness. It's not a sickness, it's not an illness. It's certainly confused with being, but it's definitely not. It's just our brain has these mutations, and we have our strengths, you know, our strengths. So different strengths which we possess, and usually our strengths are revolved around our special interest, also known as obsessive interest. And me, you know, it's my trinity of special interest is 24/7. I'm super intense, super concentrated, super focused when it comes to geopolitics, the analysis of geopolitics, geopolitical studies, geopolitical analysis, and I am an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist and philosopher and artist, and also sports and fitness, and dancing being my favorite sport and fitness activity. Dancing being my favorite sport and fitness activity, and parallel with that, rock and roll. So I rock and roll 24/7. I do analysis, geopolitical theoretical analysis 24/7. I do sports and fitness, dancing being my favorite sport, and just earlier today I did a little bit of dragon workout. So this is gonna be a big complimentary to the workout which I did, and that's how we're gonna go drill it with that. And you know, always gotta get that gratitude here. The public workers, we need to rehabilitate the North American Collective and see how my brain works. Now it switches to geopolitics, because that's my special interest. So I put what's this public work project being done here in concordium, in balance, and additionally to all the public works and public workers and public works which are transpiring across Montreal, my metropolis island of 2.5 million people. Furthermore, with all the Collective Canada, and furthermore with what I call the North American Civilisation Collective, of which we got to fuse that Canada and United States via my dream and the implementation of my Holy Trinity of theories, the CIT, Citizen Integration Theory, DRT, Death Row Fusion Theory, and the DFT, the Democratic Fusion Theory, Pledge Your Allegiance. Allegiance is the rock and roll song, Thou art family, thou art family, thou art family, and that's how we're gonna go drill it with that. And we're gonna watch it how we cross here the street, see how it's closed and where it's closed, and sometimes they can come by the sides, and gotta get that prudence, you know, turn your heads left or right anyways, at least twice, left and right, just to make sure that you cross the street safely and prudently. And check out some beautiful gardens here. I kind of like how it's made cute there. It's kind of like, I know, it's kind of cute little garden which we like, and that's it, what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get doing, you know. So it's kind of cute how that garden is, and I like a little bit of flowers, you know. Yellow is my special flowers that I love, although red is my favorite color, but I always love bright, vivid colors like that one, like those ones there. So it's cool, it's refreshing for me, and I'm less and less moody, I guess. By the time I reach the top of my second home, Mount Royal, I'll finish with the moodiness, and I'll come back more happy, more smiling, more content, which I am a pretty joyous. I've been through a lot, you know. I suffered, struggled with Asperger's, has been And it's not just me, but me, I'm part of this tiny small minority, because Aspies were less than 1%, less than 1%, less than half of a percentile, less than 0.44%, less than 0.44%, less than 0.44%. So we're not a lot of Aspies in the world, you know, not a lot of Aspies in the world, not a lot. When a child is crying, I don't like that. I take the child's attention, you know. I don't like that. And we Aspies, we show compassion, empathy by action, eh? Compassion by action, rather than verbal consolation. That's another Aspie thing, and there's a lot of misunderstanding that Aspies, we don't have empathy or compassion. It's not that, it's that we show it by action, right? We show it by doing something. If we can do to help, if you're suffering, struggling, in pain with something, as an individual, an Aspie is going to offer something, and rather than verbal consolation, you know. So that's just the difference, you know, between us Aspies, beautiful whiteys, flowers, between us Aspies and the vast majority, because the New York typical population, I'm going to say you are 99.56% compared to us Aspies, who are 0.44%, not even half of a percentile. So it's a very rare, it's not often, you know, it's not something which is prevalent in the society. But in the 21st century, there has been more and more recognition and more work as to, of course, what Asperger's is, which is not a mental illness. NOT, not a mental illness. It is a neurological, mental divergent condition, which just makes us, you know, a bit weird, awkward socially, and we have to get some support in certain things, but in other things we excel. So that's why Aspies have to be strongly encouraged in those special interests. Mine was, and will be geopolitics. And I am an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst, or analytical theoretical analyst. I gotta say again, hold on. That I've predicted what's happening now in 2019. So I predicted what's happening now in 2019. I predicted what's happening now in 2019. October, November 2019, I predicted that there's going to be an international conflagration, in other words, a World War III on the scenario, on the side. That is going to be a World War III type of situation, an international conflagration, aka World War III. So that's what I predicted, and that's, of course, something which has been occurring. Not by detail, every detail whatsoever, but of course in a general manner. That was my predictions. That was what I predicted, and that's of course what's kind of unfolding. In a general manner, of course. Not every detail, because of course every detail to predict in such a complex situational geopolitical scenario, you can have a good detail of every complexity of the nature of the conflicts which are happening worldwide. Of course, for all the substratum, right? All the substrats and all the armies involved and all the different interests and political interests, etc., etc., etc. But in a general overall manner, I have predicted that there's going to be an international conflagration on the horizon. So back in 2019, October, November, I always come to the revising my theories and protocols, and of course that was the revision which I did back in 2019, and it came of course to be congruent to what of course I had predicted. It's happening now. It has been happening for the past years, but it has been happening in a general manner. So again, I couldn't predict every detail by detail, but the general and some details, I guess, are part of the general level of the geopolitical, because that's what I do daily. That's my special interest. So Aspies were super focused, super intense, super concentrated when we are involved in those special interests. They're called obsessive, but it's not an obsession in the negative terminology of a sense. It's just that us Aspies, when it comes to those special interests, they preoccupy the vast majority of our time, so we can be super involved. But that also has a detrimental effect. So the detrimental effect is that we can be a bit neglectful of other things, such as, of course, in society, the social skills and social events, for example, attending social events or the social things of a daily life, in the daily routines of a daily life. I got a beautiful white bush here, so beautiful. Hey, all the way. So basically, we can be neglectful of that. We can neglect certain things of society. We can neglect, of course, other things which we have, and that's how we gotta get doing on that, and that's how we gotta get doing on the go, and that's how we gotta get on that loving side of things, you know. So it's something which we have to understand, that Asperger's, we have these Asp traits, Asp characteristics, which can seem weird, awkward, and social. Like, dude, what are you doing? You spent just 6 hours, just 3 cups of coffee, and 6 hours you were just watching the news, writing things down and analyzing, and like super focused in the TVs. Like you merged with CTV, BBC, CNN, Fox News, and the left and the right and the center, and then you went overseas to Beyond the World is One News, and then you checked some Mexican news and European news, Deutsche Welle, and what are you doing? Said, well, I'm doing geopolitical theoretical analysis. I'm analyzing the events. I'm analyzing the events, of course, which are congruent to, of course, the situation that are happening and occurring on a daily level, and of course, which have predicted back in 2019. And of course, now parallel, we have the great economic financial crisis, which is in parallel, which is parallel to what's happening now. Parallel to what's happening now, of course, the great geopolitical events which are occurring now, you know. And now we have another one on the horizon which affects us the most. You gotta keep in mind that I'm a Quebecer, Canadian, North American, geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist and philosopher. And of course I'm also a mystic. So I believe in reincarnations. I say God, goddess, and I will to build the forgotten goddess temple, the forgotten goddess temple, you know. That's what I will to build, the forgotten goddess temple. Forgotten goddess temple, you know. In the People's Coliseum, and I was born in the United States. 3 times post 7076. Sometimes I was born a man and woman in the United States post 7076. Post Independence Day. I was born once as a woman, twice as a man. I served in the United States Army twice, 156 years apart, 2 different wars. There were 2 different wars, 156 years apart, but same army. And you know, I got that Canada flag there. I always have it on me. I put it there, it's nice. But I always have it on me. More and more people are putting the Canadian flag. I say, I don't know how I got that tatted up, but I got Canada tatted on my arm, so I always got the flag and the maple leaf, you know. So that's how we gotta get doing with that, and I always gotta get it on the go, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and we gotta get it for the left, for the right, for the center, and gotta get it on the doers, you know, the doers, the bakers, the butchers, the nurses, the grocery store clerks, and all those involved in the production of food, and all those now, you know, truckers on the road. That's geopolitics 1-on-1, because the wellness, the integration, the appreciation of the North American collective, the 10 provinces, 50 states, and 3 territories is integral. Please don't pollute. Is integral, right? Integral to everything that we do as a North American collective. Because we are a collective civilizational complex which is not totally divorced but is distinct from Western civilization. So that is the main thesis, the main premise. We are distinct, not divorced from Western civilization. We're an emergent new civilizational complex here in North America, of which we make the great linguistic compromise of the French language. The great linguistic compromise of the French language. Right? The great linguistic compromise of the Quebec language. Myself, I gotta put some work into that. We gotta get that coast to coast, ocean to ocean for the 63. My protocols, initiatives, and the dream, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom are, and it's fundamentally for a public-private partnership across the collective North American civilizational complex, and for North America, you know. That's how I gotta get doing, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, you know. It's something which we have to get coast to coast, ocean to ocean. My new 911 protocols for total defense, total security, total service, total defense, total security, total service, total defense. What a nice car. Gonna check a little bit on beautiful car here, because I gotta say I love the color, eh? the brightness of a color is kind of chic, and that's how we gotta get doing now. Wow, I wonder what year it is. I like this 2 doors, and I like the burgundy. I don't want to get hit by a car, but it's quite nice. I like it fundamentally, in essence. I like the color a lot because, you know, red's my favorite, and this is kind of like a shade of red, but gonna cross the street there. Kind of cute. I wonder what year it is. 1984, 70s maybe even. I know. It's kind of cute. Cute flowers as well with that. So I just love certain cars. I guess the color mostly, eh? That kind of cherry type of red, you know. So cherry type of red, man. So back to geopolitics. So geopolitics is my special interest as an N.A.C.W.P. Aspis, we have special interests. Mine are the Holy Trinity. Geopolitics. I'm an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist. Sports and fitness. Dancing is my favorite sport, and fitness activity is dancing, although I love boxing and hockey and basketball. And I gotta complain, but usually I don't complain much, but hey, on the Forbes list of the top most 50 paid athletes who made the most between January 2024 and the end of December, or between 2024, beginning 2024 and end 2024 for the year, of course 12 months, January 2024 to December 2024. Out of the top 50, there was no women, not even one woman, not even one. That's not cool. But I love women's sports. I'm 50-50, me androgynous, you know, you get that 50-50 with your studio, you get that 50-50 with me. But, you know, I would love, if I'd be a billionaire, I would definitely finance, you know, Forgotten Goddess Temple, and I will to build, you know, the Forgotten Goddess Temple and the DGA, the Dancing Goddess Army, you know, the Dancing Goddess Army. That's how we gotta get building, you know. The Dancing Goddess Army. That's how I gotta get building, and I put these little flowers here. I gotta get on the go, and that's how we gotta get doing. So we gotta get doing. We gotta get that Dancing Goddess Army, and then we gotta turn our heads left or right, because you never know. Sometimes they come by the sides, and you gotta turn left and right, and that's what they gotta get doing with that, and that's what they gotta get doing on the love, and that's how we gotta get rock and roll, you know. And we gotta get drilling, and we gotta get doing, and we gotta get some loving. I love to see the youth happy. Safety of the youth, children, youth, the youth, salute. Beautiful youth, beautiful youth, beautiful youth march. I gotta include in them, because by Dragon Army, aka the North American Integrated SSD Legion for the 63 is for all, but especially for the youth and the young, you know. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean for the SSD, my new 911 Dragon North American Collectif protocols for total security, total service, total defense are to be implemented ASAP. No need to spy on me, secret services of China, Russia, and androgynous, pansexual, and got some scars, and got some left, and got some scars, and that's how we gotta get doing with that. And see some beautiful bushes here, and just live carpe diem it every day. Although I have hope for tomorrow, and to get parallel to the Dragon Army, I'm calling for the formation of the Dancing Goddess Army, that DGA, you know, the North American Integrated Dance League, to dance for the environment and environmental education and action, you know, environmental education and action, environmental education and action, environmental education and action, you know, that is something which we gotta do. Environmental education and environmental action, and that's how we gotta get doing there. Here, see, environmental education, environmental action, action and education, and for the 63, for the 10 provinces, 10 territories, correction, 10 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories. That's how we're gonna rock and roll it, as we're gonna fuse Canada, United States, and integrate it with all existing public and private security and operations, and all the things which we gotta be doing like that. And that's how we're gonna get doing with that, and so we gotta get doing on that, you know. So that's how we're gonna get doing, you know. That's how we gotta get doing. How we gotta get doing on the loving side of things, you know. And we gotta get that financing, and we gotta get that love, and we gotta get some loving with it, you know, because it's not all about the money. I'm financially stressed, but you know, I got trillions of kisses, laying the foundations for the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom with trillions of kisses, created from the forgotten goddess, as I march in these steel toes, military grade boots, auctioning them for $1 million, everything that I'm wearing. $1 million to give half, of course, to my anonymous friend, who wasn't my friend because of the money, because I never had any. So that's how we're gonna drill, and that's how we're gonna do, and that's how we're gonna get doing on that. I guess you got some dogs there, excited to be in the wild. We're gonna go deeper in the wilderness there, but if they're happy, I guess, please don't pollute. Don't leave the garbage there like that. He's gotta get it. And it's super important not to leave trash, you know. Because you see, we got a public garden, and we gotta put it in the bins. If it goes into recycling, you gotta do the part, because I've been seeing lots. Every time I look in the bin nowadays, I see cans, I see plastics, so I get a little bit of moody upset, because it should go in the recycling. If it goes in the recycling, it goes in the recycling. That's where it's supposed to go. That's where you drop it, you know. That's where you drop it. So you leave it. Even there, I took a peek, and there was some paper which should have gone into recycling, and I certainly can improve my recycling, my compost always. I'm not beyond reproach on the daily. I make mistakes. I made mistakes, especially socially. We can be awkward, weird, super intense, super concentrated, the way we speak and interact with others sometimes is off, not in the what's considered normative and normal, you know. We tend to be overly obsessed, or I will now use obsessed, I will correct myself and say intense about certain things of which are our special interests. And if you want to discuss rock and roll or sing rock and roll, I'm always open for rock and roll, always open for fitness, sports, and discussing my dream, and geopolitics, analyzing geopolitical events or past 20th century, because I specialize mostly in the 20th century geopolitical events and geopolitical history, and of course in 20th century geopolitics, especially the Cold War period, as I see those firefighters. Gotta send some loving across the 63, especially the firefighters in the West, you know, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how I gotta get doing now for the Appellation and beautiful gifts from charity billionaires, and oh yeah, quite vivid, eh? Look at these beauties. Beautiful orange flowers. We gotta get it for the beautiful orange flowers, the beautiful sun, and quite. I have to go to the washroom, so we're gonna do a little bit of that washroom. I really have to go hard, and this says in French that it's there to think about you since 1984. Culture, since 1984 for Culture House. You get a little bit of that French, you know, that's what that says. And here it's beautiful French culture in Quebec, la belle province, and myself as a Quebecer, Canadian, North America. This is my home. You get the Quebec flag. We got to put the US one as well, and the dragon one as well with that. And oh my goodness, it's closed. Woo! It's closed, and I need to go to the washrooms. I really need to go, so where is gonna be the closest? Because if I go, I have to be somewhere in the corner, you know, because I can't hold it. It's gonna go on me, you know. So the corner, maybe that corner there. I really gotta go. So I know that's, you know, public urination, but that's corner will do. But I really have to go, you know. If I don't think I can hold it until the next, which is far away, the next public space. So it's gonna be the summer, I guess, not to be where children are or visible, but you know, just I can't. The problem is I can't hold it, you know. I wish I could, but I just can't. I just can't hold it. So it's gonna be woo, yeah, I couldn't hold it. So what I did is, you had a little corner there, and it was blocked on the four sides. So I went deepest because I was gonna go, you know, on me. I was gonna just pee all over me. So I looked, there was no children, no person. So the best way for me, of course, would have been to do my diligence and see how aspies we are. And because I'm sorry, fellow citizens, you know, I just couldn't hold it. So the best spot there, and You know, I did it like a dog or a kitten, I guess. Dog, kitten, kitten, dog, you know, but I just couldn't. I would have just rushed on me, you know. I wonder why this was crossed off and that's 44. It's 52 weeks. Hey, 52 is 52 weeks is a year, right? Plus a little bit. And 44. Because it just made me think of, because I'm calling for the building of the 44 tunnels, you know. Calling for the building of the 44 tunnels. I'm calling for the building of the 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war, and have been for years now, especially during COVID. And we're close. Potentially a nuclear war can start any minute, any second. And of course today there was on the news, and I watched some geopolitical channels, and of course there was discussion of the ICBMs, that Russia has the most nukes, and the ICBMs which can reach all the way here in Montreal from Russia, anywhere from Russia, would shoot all the way internal into Canada and the United States, in the States, you know, so they can reach us, the ICBMs. Not the intermediate ones, but the ICBM ones, so they have a few hundred of those, and the intercontinental ballistic missiles can reach us, you know, so we're gonna see now with the biggest development, a big attack deep inside Russia by Ukraine, and that was something which, of course, I'm not on the ground, so as much as I analyze my protocols, dictums, and philosophies, and my dream is first and foremost for the North American Collective, so that's why in many regards I stay neutral until we got the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom established, ready to rock and roll for SSD, security, service, and defense, you know, because as I'm a North American, so as much as I can analyze and do geopolitical analysis and theorizing, fundamentally I'm a North American, so I'm not on the ground to do dissections and to have 300 men or 300 women to go on the go and see what's happening on the field, on the ground there, whether in the Middle East or whether in Palestine, whether, you know, in Israel, whether, of course, whatever the case may be, where they go and where they have the conflicts in Russia, Ukraine. This is a piece of Hawk Island, Montreal, which you can see here, and you can check it out if you're so inclined. It's not the whole island, but we're around about here, so we're gonna go here, but you can see how it's surrounded by a big river, and I guess this has to be renewed. You can see the whole river there, goes like this and up. That's Laval. You can see a little, this is basically that. So this is the island of Montreal, Hawk Island, Montreal, and that's a representation in a more minimal scale. The scales, of course, the scales are big because it's a big metropolis, and it has square kilometers roundabout, right? So that's what it is with that, and it has roundabout square kilometers, and that's all we have to do with that. So meaning that they have that square kilometers, and we got to get it on the go, we got to get it on the love, and that's all we got to get doing, you know. So it's something which we have to turn our heads left and right, and here be on the philosophy side and be on the loving side, and cross the street prudently with caution by turning our heads left and right. And you see a lot of big beautiful building here, quite nice, eh? I could split 50-50, half with my anonymous friend on that one, and that's all we got, and that's all we got done now, rock and roll, you know. Always for the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, and philosophers, artists, and all those involved in the production, you know, distribution of food. I gotta be thinking about them now, and it's always something which we gotta be meditating on that, and sometimes which you have to get it now, you know, as we are here, and you see, on a beautiful day like this, you gotta be prudent still, because brakes can malfunction. See how it goes down, and here it goes up, because now we're on the mountain. So brakes can potentially malfunction, right? Brakes can malfunction. The citizen driver might press the accelerator. So if the citizen driver presses the accelerator instead of brake, that means that the acceleration, speed, and velocity, and of course one's steps parallel to I'm doing a risk assessment, basically the speed and the velocity and the distance is basically mostly the speed of the car and the individual who crosses, and of course the distance between object and object, the distance between object and object. That's basically what it is. The distance between one object and one object. That is basically what it is. And that is the distance between the object and the object, between X and Y and Z, or X and Y, or A and B. However, because it could be several points. Right here now we have 1, 2, 3, and the other one coming. So for example, his speed, my fellow citizen's speed, when he reaches the intersection, and also they have stops on all sides. so they have stops. But like I said, sometimes they might press the accelerator instead of the brake. So his speed versus the other car's speed. So that's basically to assess the risk. It's kind of calculated in my mind a little bit, but that's how it is with that, and that's how we gotta rock and roll it, you know. So it's something which we gotta be doing, and something which we gotta be thinking about, and something which we gotta be saying, and that's what it is with that, and that's how we gotta be on the appellation side of things, and we gotta be prudent with that, and we gotta be congruent, and we gotta be loving, and we gotta be thinking, and we gotta be saying, and we gotta be doing, and we gotta be knowledgeable. We gotta be loving also, you know, because my safety, my security, parallel with your safety and security. Gotta dance myself as an individual sovereign citizen with the collective, and for another individual sovereign citizen who's also part of the great collective, right? So it's always the individual and the collective, and it's always a give and take type of situation, and always a compromise for my liberty, my work, and liberty, and somebody else's work and liberty. You know, you can say a lot of things. Personally, me, myself, I don't like violence. I do not like violence. I do not like violence. I don't like violence. And that's what it is with that. So I don't like violence, you know, something which I don't like. However, I am hypervigilant, you know. I am hypervigilance, but my hypervigilance, I guess, hypervigilance comes from I have flashes of trauma, you know. I have plenty of scars on my body, even my little split dick scar clit, which I had to put to some use because I was gonna pee on me, but be like the pi number, maybe no circular. But nonetheless, the fact is that I was attacked by surprise a few years ago, and I still gotta go and retrieve, you know, those special archives from the Jewish General Hospital where I went, because I was attacked by surprise a few years ago, and I was bloodied up. I was bloodied up, you know. So I was bloodied up and hit my head in the underground Montreal Metro, and this is a nice one. I could split 50-50 with my anonymous friend as well, and had a dislocated right arm after that surprise attacks. I have flashes of being attacked, you know, all sorts. But so I had a dislocated right arm, and it was cracked back, put back here, like crack by the doctors at the Jewish General Hospital, like crack, like, you know, a dislocated shoulder. So I was bloodied up, and I was put on some meds. So I was like kind of in a coma for a few days. I guess I had my City Empire episode. My own City Empire episode. I guess I survived that, and I moved. I remember I just moved, you know. It's hard for me to retrieve memories when before I can go 9 years, 7 years ago, very good. 8 years, I can do 9 years. It starts getting blurry. 10 starts getting foggy, and after 11, there's a blackout. You know, there's a blackout. So the blackout is me moving. Before me moving, my life prior to me moving from where I used to live in a very moldy, underground, moldy place. It was like a prison cell. I guess I didn't serve my time, you know. It was like a prison cell, you know. I guess I served my time. It was like a prison cell, and I was depressed. I was suicidal. I moved out of there, and I crossed Canada coast to coast. In 2017, I crossed Canada coast to coast, you know. And that event in my life, when I crossed Canada coast to coast, really, I had a realization in 2017. In that summer, when I crossed Canada coast to coast, I told myself, what a great country we have. So many things to see, to do, and of course, so many things to see, to do. So I started working out, training, exercising, and I established during that trip a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Quebecers, Canadians, my family, our family, you know. So pledge your allegiance, friends with benefits only, please. I don't want to waste anybody's time. And friends with benefits only, pledge your allegiance. I don't want to waste anybody's time. Pledge your allegiance. I don't want to waste nobody's time. What a beautiful field as well. It's so nice. I just love these white flower bushes. Brings me so much joy. I'm got a big smile, big joy, big happiness now, and they smell good. They got a little bit of rice smell, but see, I gotta be thinking about their doings now, and how here we gotta stop and You know, they're going down the hill and come from up. See, it's actually the mountain. This is Westmount, one of the 3 peaks of the mountain system. 3 peaks of the mountain system, and you got some flowers there they want to get free. They're cluttered up, but anyway, so that's what I remember, being attacked by surprise and moved. I was diseased, I was like depressed and suicidal, and that's what we gotta get doing. I was depressed, I was suicidal, and I moved. I got out of that depression when I crossed Canada coast to coast, ocean to ocean. I still got the tickets. By bus, I went in August, British Columbia, BC, British Columbia, and of course by train in September 2017 to Halifax, Southeast in Nova Scotia, you know. So that's what I made, and that's what I be, and that's how we gotta get doing now, and that's how we gotta rock and roll. 2 doors, quite cute. I'll put a dragon on it. It's kind of cute. What is it? It's I'm not sure, it's a Ford. Oh, really, it's a Ford. I'm not big of a car connoisseur. You know, I gotta really check what they are, but some Aspies, Some Aspies, their special interest might be, not like myself, geopolitics, sports, and rock and roll, but it might be cars. And an Aspie could just look at a car and tell you the year of production, can tell us so many things about the car just by looking at it, you know. Just by looking at it can tell you so many things about the car. You can look at a car and know so many things about the car. But I don't know, I'm not a connoisseur, but some Aspies, if that's their special interest, that means that they will be able to tell you maybe manufacturing date, how much speed, how much it consumes, gasoline, so the details about the car, like really in depth, you know? Because Aspies were good at those special interests. And me, geopolitics, you want to have a conversation, but then again, you have to, my specialty is 20th century, and specialty is 21st century even furthermore, you know, 21st century mostly, but it overlaps because the Cold War ended only a few decades ago, and much of my prediction was based that due to those unresolved conflicts that they're going to restart, and that's exactly what's been happening in the past 5 years. The Russia-Ukraine crisis, war, invasion, however you want to terminology and phrase it, dates back from the Cold War period, which lasted more than 44 years, almost 45 years, from March 1947 till the end of December 1991. So of course some just take a few months off or put a few months, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. And so that's what it has to be understood, that my specialties in geopolitics is the Second World War. I gotta say, I love this Reds. I think it's just one block, no, several, I'm not sure. It's really nice how it's done, maybe because I love the red, you know. That's something which we gotta be attracted to. My favorite color, I guess. I'm just gonna stretch a bit so you can partly see part of the mountain, and sometimes we're there, we're pointing the camera towards here, towards Westmount, but we're miles and miles and miles and kilometers away, and that mountain there is one of the other mountains around here, Montreal Island, but that's in the South Shore, so that's not on the island of Montreal, that's far, far away. Just like this mountain peak, the mountain, triple peak mountain, Mount Royal proper, here we're on peak, Westmount Peak. See how it goes down, 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 and here it still goes up, 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 so it still goes up, 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 and there it still goes down. So the mountain complex, Mount Royal, can be seen afar off from the island. So heading towards my second home, we kind of are, but until we reach Montreal, Belvedere, Conjurenac, I guess we're still gonna bike it up. So I don't want to do more than 5 hours today. I think I'm just gonna go to the top and come back, slide it in and out, because I already worked out earlier today, this morning, and cleaned and did laundry, so I had a busy since the morning day. So I'm kind of gonna go 12 hours soon, you know, as I've been up since 6. I've been up since 6, so it's geopolitics, rock and roll. Sang some rock and roll songs, and I did laundry, cleaned, and did some math, and I was stuck a bit. I have trick questions, but I love percentages, mostly percentages in mathematics, and that's what we have to be doing in terms of mathematics, how we gonna go with it, and how we do, and how we are with these interactions of a social nature, and how we are involved in the things of which we are have a little quality in and have a little bit of interest in. And mine is geopolitics, but an Aspie can be that, you know, it's cars or history, or it could be art, Could be a lot of different things. Could be science, computer science, some aspects. It could be computer science, depends on what the special interest is. It varies in my tiny small fraction of a community. It varies, of course, from individual to individual. And of course, it's always a flexibility, although we have our routines, we have our kind of routines by which we enjoy as my ritualized type of routines for years and years and years, going to the mountain, working out, training, and doing geopolitical analysis. And my theories protocols are for the North American Collective, the geopolitical strategy, which of course I'm endeavored to get put on the table along with the DRT, the debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UI. There's a ball there. Oh, somebody lost the ball. Oh, it's yours? You're welcome. Oh, it's yours? You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're kindly welcome. That's some tennis. Some tennis. I'm gonna check.
All this work.
Oh yeah. I'm so thirsty. Oh yeah. One more time. Oh yeah. Woo. That's something good. Woo. Gotta get it on that hydration, man. When you train, when you exercise, you gotta get that hydration. So see, sometimes we're there. So sometimes we're over there in the videos. That's miles away though, eh? It's not that close. See how it goes down the slope? So it's down the slope in the mountain, and here, sometimes we're that way, miles and kilometers away. So that's why we are here now. But sometimes we show the camera from there, from above to below, and from below to above here on the mountain, Mount Raw. That's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get doing on the go with that. And gotta get on that rock and roll side of things, and just ask, policy. Just ask. Gotta get just ask policy, and so we gotta rock and roll in, man. Anyways, oh, what's that? That's something, man. What is that? Oh, I'm not sure. Sound of the squirrel with somebody else there. Incommunicado, excommunicado. So here's Westmount, and I kind of like this place here. Oh, it's nice, it's shooting along the way. It's a nice public works, I guess. Gotta go for the public workers, it's brain, sweat, and tears, and muscle, brain, muscle, muscle, brain, muscle, brain, and you got that sunshine, sunset. We're gonna check it on the mountain, and that's all we're gonna get on the top of the mountain and come back, slide it back in and out today. 4 hours minimum, because I'm gonna try to aim to get. Sometimes last week we got a lot more, but I aim for minimum 20 hours, starting some Sunday at midnight, when after sunset the regular week of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom commences. Right after sunset Sunday, because the Sabbath commences Friday at midnight, Friday at midnight, and then it ends, of course, Sunday sunset. So that's what we gotta get doing with that, and it ends Sunday, and of course it's then the regular week. So the Sabbath is almost 45, 5 hours, almost 45. A little bit more than 44 technically. Almost 45 hours. The Sabbath starts Friday at midnight, which is basically a second Saturday, right? Beginning Saturday after midnight, the clock strikes a second. So that's basically what it is, because midnight lasts a second really. And then you got a few minutes before midnight, a few seconds before midnight, and a few seconds after midnight. Because I guess a second, seconds. So of course, I'm gonna introduce the DRT, that refusion tree. I just wanna send some more loving to Manitoba firefighters from Saskatchewan. Send some loving their evacuations and get back safe, and do some loving and do some rock and roll and do some butchering, do some bakers, do some nurses, do some doctors, and do some firefighters, and do some going on the go, and do of course a little bit of that baking, a little bit of that soda, a little bit of that popsicle, a little bit of that, however, whatever you can help. I wish I would be on the ground, of course, with the Dragon Army for SSD plus E. The 3, security, service, and defense, plus E, SSD, security, service, and defense, plus E, security, service, and defense, plus E, SSD, security, service, and defense, SSD, those are the principles by which we're going to operate. SSD, security, service, and defense, and that's what we're going to get doing with that. SSD, security, service, and defense, plus E. E is for emergency, so we're gonna plus it sometimes. The Dragon Army that's created, 21st century, public-private partnership based, and yours truly, Aspian, artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical, theoretical, honest, and theorist, and who's here, not been suffered, struggled, depressed, suicidal, attacked by surprise, gotta go retrieve those. Maybe gotta go check my teeth also, and financially stressed, struggling. Last week I got 150 working, so I gotta give a shout out for the opportunity. And unfortunately there's a very, very high unemployment rate about between Aspies, with unemployment rate between Aspies between 60 and 80%. 60 and 80%. 60 and 80% unemployment rate, 60 and 80%. That's a lot. 60 and 80% compared to the 7, 6, 5, 5, 4% of the majority of the population. So if you take the proportion, it's 11 times bigger. 11 times bigger. 11 times. Mathematical proportion is 11 times bigger, right? The unemployment rate. So take that into account. So there's a high unemployment rate among Aspies. Among Aspies, Very high, very high. That's what it is with that, and that's what I gotta get doing with that. So compared to the normal population, it's of course very high, 11%. Correction. 11 times bigger. So as per Aspies like myself, the rate of unemployment is super high, but it's really high. Not just high, of course, in the mental high, but it's super high, between 60% and 80%. 60% and 80%. 60% and 80%. I repeat it. It has to be repeated. Although that's a characteristic of Asperger, repetition, but this time I kind of willed it. Sometimes it's just automatic without even noticing and don't process it, but this time, wow, imagine. So I had many jobs myself, many jobs throughout the years, many employments, lots of work, lots of employment, and lots of work with that, and lots of employment which I had, and of course I lost it, and it wasn't a long duration of the employment, it was just a few weeks, a few months, sometimes a few days, but you gotta get it on the go to get it on the do, and just a few days with that, and sometimes a few weeks, even months, but many jobs in the past 7 years. But Aspies, it's maintaining, keeping them, because we are not so good at social gatherings and events, and with other work colleagues, is sometimes the interactions can be odd and weird, and we're not just misunderstood a lot. See how it goes down the mountain slope like that. So there's a lot of misunderstandings of Asperger. Some people believe that it's an illness, mental illness that can be contagious, as you cannot catch Asperger's. It's our brains are just mutated, and we have these mutations which make us to have these characteristics, one of which can be, of course, another one can be utilizing too much intellectual, functional, academic, and philosophical language in order to explain certain things which cannot be explained other than can be explained with, of course, more intensity or less, of course, verbosities, and less intellectual capabilities, and less, of course, philosophical artistry, or whatever the case will be. And that's all we gotta get doing with that, and that's all we gotta get doing on the go, so something which we gotta be mindful of, and that we have here, of course, the capabilities of what we do and what we are, and the things which we have in common here, the North American Collective, and the left and the right, and the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, and all those involved, in the production, distribution of food, and all those who got to get it on the doors, the bakers, the nurses, and the doctors, the firefighters, and all those involved with the production, distribution of food. And that's it, that's all, rock and roll with that. And gonna turn my head left or right. Here you gotta be prudent when you cross the street, you know. Sometimes they come from the east, from the west, or from the north, so turn your heads left, right, left, right, right, left. A few times, 3 times each side, because see how it's done here? If the citizen comes fast, it could be that the stop is not applicable or the brakes malfunction. So that is always a tricky corner there. A tricky corner, you know. So that is always a double prudence required there to get it on the go. So it's something which we gotta be on the appellation things we got, and you gotta get doing, man. Be safe, be prudent out there, you know. We gotta get doing on the love, and sometimes we gotta get doing on the side of things, and we gotta get doing on the now, you know, because you never know all the things which are happening now across the world with trade war ties, and we're also open for potential espionage and sabotage. We're also open for espionage and sabotage. We're also open for potential espionage and sabotage, you know, something which we gotta do with that, you know. Also be prudent as an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist now, with more than in the past years and years and years. We're vulnerable also in Canada. I've written several documents, protocols relating to our sensibilities and vulnerabilities myself as an N.A.C.W.P. There's certain things which, if I haven't learned, and my anonymous friend wouldn't have helped me by books, by reading, understanding how my Aspiness can be taken advantage of, and vulnerability. So I guess I gotta learn a little bit of that, you know, because some people might use your weaknesses sometimes against us. Vulnerabilities in open society, democratic, or, you know, multi-diversities here, North American Collective, you know, a great diversity. We're a new emerging collective, but some outside external forces might also employ underworld figures, underworld common organization, and the underworld groups, organizations, in order to harm us, you know. Harm us. The 50 states, 10 territories, 3 provinces, 10 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories, the 10 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories, go wildfires. And Alberta, Saskatchewan. I'm now going to discuss the DRT, Debt Refusion Treaty, before I forget or neglect to do so. Super important that I discuss it every marching workout dragon versus Trump session such as this one. So what is the DRT? The DRT, the Debt Refusion Theory, is of course my theory for the North American Collective. Of course stands for D, for Debt Refusion, and Theory for DRT, for Debt Refusion Theory. Look at that. Wow, isn't that amazing how it's done? See some mathematics almost. How it's circular. It's like a snake. Looks like a snake is in there. I don't think it was a snake though, to be honest, but it kind of looks, like a coiled snake. I don't mind snakes. I like snakes. Certain snakes more than others, but you know, there's holy snakes, in between snakes, black and white rainbow snakes. But see, kind of looks like a head of a cobra. Like, I guess my patterns of seeing, maybe because I got snake tattooed on me, but and also the lion and the hawk is my totem bird. But I don't know, it just looked like a coiled snake. Didn't it look like a coiled snake? You be the judge. The DRT now, Debt Refusion Theory. The DRT stands for D, R, Refusion, T theory. D for debt, R, Refusion, T theory. The DRT theory also integrates in it monetary integration theory, which is the financial theory, which was implemented in the European Union. In the 90s, the Europeans got rid of their central banks. The Germans, the Italians, the French, the other countries as well, many other countries destroyed their national central banks, and they incorporated and adopted a common central bank, the ECB, which issues the euro, of course. So my debt refusion theory also integrates in it monetary integration theory, which is that exactly financial theory, which was implemented in the European Union. So basically that's what it is with that, and that's how we gotta get doing with that. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt. We have to implement. Now, why do I make the statement that it is the solution or something similar to the DRT has to be the solution? Since, of course, due to the fact that last year and many years during the COVID, beginning of COVID, the public debt, the interest paid on the public debt has augmented, increased, beautiful yellow flowers, by much percentage. Gotta double check the numbers again. The interest paid on the public debt has increased disproportionately to what our GDP, way bigger than the GDP, because our GDP didn't increase by 10, 15 or double during the past 5 years, but much of the interest payments, the interest on the public debt of Canada has increased. So the same mathematical principle applies for a citizen whose interests increase over the past 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. If the salary doesn't keep up, and of course with the cost of living increases, as I made calculations in the past, you can discern that if the interest increases and the salary stagnates, an individual citizen has to cut and reduce in spending the budget. Who wills to finance me and my anonymous friend here to have a house here? It's Ramsey, Ramezay, or Montrose. Can get me and my anonymous friend a little bit of that rock and roll with it, and a little bit of rock and roll, and I see a lion, and get that Montrose, Ramsey, and here 26 or 44, 25, 44, or 31, whatever the case may be. Here, this one we can split 50-50. Anyways, back to the DRT. Any house here, but we're too close to the mountain, but anywhere on the island. That was Avant. That one is for sale there, so maybe that one, whatever the case may be, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that, and that's how we're gonna get labeled it. So the DRT, the debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE, is something which we have to do, and something which we have to be implementing across the North American Civilisation Collective. Beautiful flowers here. Beautiful flowers, and that's how we gotta get doing with the beautiful flowers. Yeah, the DRT has to be implemented. The motive that I'm making, the statement that I'm making, of course, is that due to the fact that many citizens have also increased their perpetuity and increased in, of course, how many interest payments have to pay. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, and of course we're gonna create it and of course go, and we gotta get doing, and that's how we're gonna get doing on that, and we're gonna get rock and rolling for the DRT. So the DRT, that's how we're gonna do the DRT, debt refusion theory. Debt refusion theory. We have to. The debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, Debt refusion theory for the creation of the universal exchange unit. We have to implement it. It's something which we have to implement, Something which we have to implement. The DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange unit. We're gonna have to implement it. The DRT, of course, is something which we have to be implementing on the go, It's to be implementing on the go the debt refusion theory. DRT. So I'm going to explain it now. Again, there's no solution, because a lot of the citizenry, and I'm referring both the Canada situation, the Canadian situation, and the United States situation, are both in a financially precarious situation. Myself also $10,000 in debt. $10,000 in debt, $10,000 in debt. $10,000, but I don't have credit cards, I have a credit line, but other citizens are even furthermore in debt. With credit cards are maxed out, record-breaking credit card debt, as the reports came out a few months ago at the end November 2024 and February 2025, and every month, record-breaking debt But the problem is that if you make mathematical calculations due to this debt and the prices of increasing the prices of goods, which keep increasing at the supermarket, they keep increasing at the supermarkets, They keep increasing at the supermarkets, if you notice. And what you notice in the past 3.5 years, as I noticed, if you didn't notice, that there's more and more security. There's more and more security where there wasn't before. They used to have the supermarkets, they didn't have security officers in the front and waiting at the cash checks to check people, but now they do more and more. I seen and I noticed, and because there's a great financial pressure even on the middle class. And where the middle class at? Wait a minute, guys. Canada, United States. So that's what we have to be doing with that. That's what we have to be doing. So of course we're gonna have to take that into account, and of course the fact that we have reached record-breaking debt. So the record-breaking debt adds pressures fundamentally, as now of course we're on the verge of another increase, as of course last week or 2 weeks ago Walmart said that in June, starting even early June, prices are going to increase. If Walmart is a standard for buying less expensive goods and products for the North American Collective, for Canada and United States conjointly, although I bought this is a second-hand shirt, first time that I worked with this shirt today. I got that nice background, and I got it. My anonymous friend gifted yours truly, selling it for $1 million. So anyways, the solution is the DRT or something very similar. The debt refusion theory, which I'm not going to explain. So again, it integrates in my DRT theory, is integrated monetary integration theory. So we're going to take all the public and the private debt, all the private and the public debt, my $10,000, your $10,000, their $10,000. We're going to take all the public and the private debt, including my $10,000, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, Canadian public-private debt. And my DRT theory, again, has to be implemented Canada and United States jointly. If other countries will after blah, 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 to join, but binational, just like the NHL, NBA, first and foremost. So we're going to take all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt, my $10,000 included, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt, my $10,000, your $10,000, and whatever the case may be, my $10,000, my $10,000, that's what we're gonna do, and my $10,000, your $10,000, and that's what we're gonna get doing. That's what we're gonna do. So that's what we're gonna get doing, So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, and we're gonna of course convert it into US dollars. We're gonna take all the public and the private debt, and we're gonna convert it into US dollars. So all my debt, your debt, our debt collective, see, that is of course the downtown core. I gotta salute construction workers, those on steel toes, goes on those cranes. Let's build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum on the Canadian border, where me and Donald Trump are gonna fight. And of course the Forgotten Goddess Temple, Forgotten Goddess Temple, Forgotten Goddess Temple, and the House of the Dragon, red, scarlet, red, crimson, and crimson and scarlet are shades of red. And let's build it on the Canadian-US border. And of course let's get it going with that, and let's build it. And I'm gonna be in the sun as much as I can, so I'm gonna actually go change, because I want to be in the sun as much as I can. So the best way, because it's close to sunset, is gonna be of course to go in the sun. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, and we're gonna convert it into US dollars, and that's what we're gonna get doing. And that's what we're gonna get rock and rolling, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that. Yeah. So we're gonna take all the public-private debt, convert it into US dollars, Canada coast to coast, ocean to ocean. We're gonna get it on the conversion. We're gonna get it on the now, So all the public and the private debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars. All the public and the private debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars. All the public-private debt of Canada, including my $10,000, convert it into US dollars. That money, we're going to add it with the US public-private debt, and that money is going to be the initial money supply for the central bank. We're going to create a new central bank and a new currency based on the value of the US dollar, called the UE. U.Universal, U.Exchange, U.Unit. Just gonna press it with the lion here. See, I got the lion. Thank you, my anonymous friend who gifted me the bag of the lion there, and that's how we're gonna get drilling with that, and that's how we're gonna get on to go, and that's how we're gonna get drilling with that here. The second home, the mountain, the other peak. The whole three-peak mountain system is called Monroe, but this is my second home there, the Belvedere. It still goes up with the hawk, flock of hawks, H-A-W-K, my totem bird. Saluting the bus drivers, love you bus drivers of the North American Collective, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the firefighters, doctors, plumbers, electricians, the DRT. We gotta implement it. We are on the verge of a public financial collapse. It's possible that a day after the 50% tariffs goes on steel, of course, it's possible that there's a collapse, collapse. And we need to get that ring built. The North American People's Imperial Coliseum, we can build 11 times bigger than the, however, we can join the United States and create the UE, implement the DRT, create this new currency based on the value of the US dollar between Canada and the United States. The UE, U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit, the UE, U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The universal exchange is going to have the value of the US dollar. We're going to put an interest rate level of 10%. It's not going to be able to be more than 10% after that. With that money, we're going to be able to rebuild the infrastructure of the North American Collective. The infrastructure, we're going to build those 44 tunnels. In case of a thermonuclear war, 44 tunnels inspired based by the Cheyenne Mountain System Complex. And of course, inspired by the Cheyenne Mountain Complex. That's how we're going to do. And of course, another one which we're going to do is the building of the Imperial People's Coliseum. Mass finance citizens fitness. Mass finance citizens tourism, because it does great for mental health, and that's what it is with that. It does great for mental health, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gotta get doing on the go, It does great victories for mental health for tourists. And I wrote a paper, theoretical paper, sometimes with a bit academic philosophical title, The Initiative and Need for the Mass Finance of the North American Collective Civilizational Complex, the North American Civilizational Complex. That's something which we have to be doing, and that's something which we have to be happening with that, and something which we have congruent with the XYZ, so that's how we're gonna get doing. Here at the mountain, look at that, a rock, solid rocks, man. Solid rocks. That's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gotta get doing on the go, It's something which we gotta get doing on that, and we gotta get it loving, man. So the DRT, that refusion tree for the creation of the UE, is something which we have to get on the transmission lines and getting on the universal exchange unit. I love the architecture here, and that's how we gotta get doing with that. Look at the architecture. Look at the architecture. Love it. Could be headquarters of the Dragon Army and the Dancing Goddess Army. I wonder when it was built. It's nice. We gotta love it, and we're gonna go by that side, because otherwise if I stay by this side, I'm not gonna get much sun. So I want to get as much sun as I can, of course, and being that I want to get as much sun, it's gonna be on that side is sunnier, because it's close to, but it's not that far away, the sunset, and that's how we're gonna get doing with that, and gotta get doing on the go, So we're gonna take all the public-private debt is something which we have to be doing, and we're gonna have to take all the public and the private debt, and that's how we gotta get doing, man. We're gonna take it all the public debt. You're gonna stay in the sun. So all the public and the private debt, we're gonna get it on the go, and that's how we're gonna get it on the go side of things, and we're gonna get it on the now, So something which we gotta be doing with that, and gotta get it on the line of things with that. So we gotta get doing for the lovers, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, for the North American Collective, the DRT, debt refusion tree for the creation of the UE. We're gonna take all the public and the private debt. We're gonna refuse it. So my debt, your debt, our debt, collective debt, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, all the public and the private debt of Canada, United States, Canada, Canada, when I convert it into US dollars, into US dollars, into US dollars, and gotta go get it like that, and that's where we're gonna go get it, you know. Beautiful flowers here. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars. We're gonna add it with the US, we're gonna create the UE. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit, U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit, the UE, the U, the UE, U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. And we're gonna convert it, and we're gonna create this UE, and then we're gonna rebuild the infrastructure of the collective. The North American Civilizational Collective Complex of the North American Collective Civilizational Complex. That's what we're gonna do, and we're gonna build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum together. And we're gonna, of course, mass finance citizens to work out, train, exercise, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that. And we're gonna get on that loving side of things, and we're gonna get on that for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, and the firefighters, the plumbers, the electricians, and the grocery store clerks, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food now. That's what we're gonna get doing. We have to, it's an emergency. You realize that we can happen tomorrow, even before the tariffs, new tariffs hit of 50% of new aluminum tariffs is gonna decimate perhaps the steel economy. Let's be honest. You know, Canada, 85%, we depend on the US market. It's not the way to invite us. If you're gonna bake some pies, and I would have voted Biden, I would have voted Biden, I would have voted Biden. If you bake some 50 pies and invite Canadians for tourism across the 50 states, that's how you invite us. Granddaddy Trump, not by bullying, not by bullying, not by bullying. Invite us properly. And I'll sing, the king is absent, Mr. Carney. The king is absent, the king is absent. It's time for the republic. You know, coast to coast, ocean to ocean in the 21st century. We got to fuse Canada, the United States, my way, by the creation of this new currency and by the implementation of my DRT theory, we will. And we're going to make a great census of the population to see who's going to be able to serve in the two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions of the DGA, the Dancing Goddess Army for the environment, and of course the Dragon Army, the Dragon Army, the Dragon Army, the Dragon Army. The Dragon Army, you know. Yeah, the Dragon Army, you know. That's what we're gonna do. Yeah. Yeah. The Dragon Army. That's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do, hey? That's what we're gonna create. That's how we're gonna create, you know, the DRT. We're gonna implement it. We're gonna create the UE, and we're gonna make a great census and create a common passport, and focus coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean for security, service, and defense. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean for security, service, and defense. For security, service, and defense. SSD plus E, security, service, and defense, and that's how we're gonna do, and that's how we're gonna rock and roll with it. And here in the sun, my Publik King shining, the DRT debt refusion tree for the creation of the UE, Universal Exchange Unit, is best. We gotta get on that pronto, we gotta get on that rock and roll, we gotta do it ASAP. We're on the verge of a public financial collapse. You realize that? I hope people realize that we are on the verge of a public financial collapse. There's no way out of the situation because of the record-breaking debt and the cost of living, which has increased. So it's two pressures, the more interest and the cost of living in the past 3.5 years, myself included, financially stressed. That's why no food waste. See, then I have to clean it maybe, you know, wash it, cut some pieces, and eat the apple. No food waste. Let's say I'm doing a little bit of World War III type of situation now. Nuclear war, worst case scenario. You know, God is, God forbid. God is God, God forbid. God is God, God forbid. But I gotta wash this off well and smell it. Still good. Not poison. Look if it doesn't have needle marks, and smell it and watch it, you know, because it's always, you never know. That looks, of course, how he fell from somebody when he got off, maybe with the groceries, maybe with whatever he got the groceries on the side of from the car with the groceries. That's my thesis, theoretics. behind how the apple ended there, but you know, just thinking of a worst case scenario here. But we're gonna get washed and eaten by the dragon. You know, those are some calories. If I wouldn't have nothing to eat, that would give me about 24 hours to try to get enough food, save some people in the case of a thermonuclear war. God forbid, you know. So here we are. This is the Canadian Armed Forces. Gonna pay some red, pledge your allegiance. By the implementation of my DRT, we're gonna be able to create the Dragon Army for SSD, Security Service and Defense, a public-private partnership, fundamentally a PPP integrated with all existing security institutions and organizations based on my philosophies and theses of which I've written over the past many years, especially during COVID, since I had COVID and since I survived COVID, of course, back in 2020 between February and March. It was like death, pestilence and disease, like death, pestilence and disease. It was like death, pestilence and disease. I know when I say, well, I had like death, pestilence and disease. God, put it on my enemies, please. Death, pestilence and disease. God, put it on my enemies, please. So that's how I felt, and I thought I was gonna die, and here I am, survived COVID, survived many years of, I guess, rejection, depression, suicidal, but today's that joy, I guess. It is, and I've suffered a lot, struggled, got plenty of scars. Friends with benefits only, eh? You gotta be 18 to want to be black, or white, or black, men or women. I am androgynous pansexual, get that 50-50, but you gotta be of age, 18 plus. I'm gonna card you just like when you go buy some liquor, buy some booze, eh? Here, cannabis, marijuana is legal since 2019, so I'm gonna be applying the same principles, you know? You gotta be 18 plus. So if you want to do some loving, no problem. Loving. For please, Wall Street billionaires, millionaires, finance the massage therapy sessions to the public workers of the North American Collective, to the public workers of the North American Collective. Public workers of the North American Collective, because they deserve it and earning more than yours truly, you know. They deserve it, earning more than yours truly. So I gotta rock and roll for the Canadian Armed Forces. Gonna rock and roll for the Canadian Armed Forces, you know. That is something which we gotta be doing, and the Canadian Armed Forces gotta be saluting, and gotta be saluting the firefighters, the truckers, the butchers, the nurses, the doctors, and the plumbers, the electricians, the DRT theory, detrofusion theory, for the creation of the UE. That is what we have to be doing with that, and that's what we have to be doing with XYZ, and sometimes which we have to be doing on the go, and on the left and on the right, and on the east and on the west, and for the north-south roundabout, for the 63, for the 10 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories, and that's how we gotta do a little bit of that loving for the XYZ, and we gotta get some loving, you know. So pledge your allegiance to our family. You know how we're gonna switch, because it's time for that French, because where we at, we in La Belle Province. So thank you, farmers, grateful, thankful, my rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee. Support the DRT for the creation of the UE is the only solution. We're going to do lots of good with that. We're going to be rebuilding the infrastructure of the North American Collective. We're going to be rebuilding the infrastructure, rebuilding the sewers by the implementation of the DRT. Great public-private partnership project. We're going to mass finance citizens to work out, to train, to exercise. We're going to mass finance citizens to work out, to train, to exercise. We're going to mass finance citizens to train, to exercise. And here we're going to show a little bit of that go. See here how it is here. Wow. Here we are, and this is the three-peak mountain system right here. You see there we are. It says, vous êtes ici, that's in French. And so this is basically the 3 peaks. So basically we're going to go around about here. We came from here. From this side, right? We came from here, from this side. This is the mountain, Westmount. This is Mount Royal proper, and that's Outremont. So you see 3 peak mountain. The 3 peak mountain, the Patrimoine du Mont Royal, Mount Royal. So that's what it is, and that's where we are here, you know, at the Mount Royal Patrimoine, and it's a little bit of that good stuff there. And you gotta get on that meditative vibes, and gotta get it for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, by the implementation of my DRT theory, the debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE. We're gonna be able to do lots of good. So the DRT, we're going to be able to mass finance citizens tourism, build those 44 towns in case of a thermonuclear war. We're going to mass finance citizens through exercise, fitness, and citizens' joy. And we're going to build create the two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions, the Dragon Army, aka the North American Integrated Security Service and Defense Legion, only for SSD, Security Service and Defense plus E, vis-a-vis parallel complementary to the DGA, the Dancing Goddess Army, which is going to serve for the environment, environmental education and action, and dance, because dancing is pleasurable. And here going to say some salutation to the Canadian Armed Forces. We need to implement my 911 new Dragon Army protocols for total security, total service, total defense, and we need to get rid of the border. We need to get a common passport, and we need to get focused coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. And I gotta know everything that's coming in by the airports and the planes, the ports and the airports, the ports and the airports, and we gotta do lots of good with that. And we gotta get that coast to coast, ocean to ocean, Montreal to San Francisco. Get ready for some cadence later, and encouraging all to work out, train, exercise, and stick a little bit of your ears to a little bit of that dragon, rainbow dragon French, because we heal our belle province. We speak a little bit of that good French here. 9 million Quebecers, myself included, and we're gonna build more hydroelectric dams here, because our hydroelectric dams do not pollute. And we're gonna get that golden hawk dome. We're gonna put a hawk in it to include Canada in the Golden Dome project. We gotta put a hawk, H-A-W-K in it. And we gotta get on that linear, and we gotta get it on the go, and that's something which we have to be doing. You know, pledge your allegiance, thou art family, for the 63, 10 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories. Bienvenue. On est sur le soleil, le coucher du soleil. Je vous encourage à faire l'entraînement physique. Déjà, j'ai fait le dragon contre Trump, fait qu'aujourd'hui, je fais encore un petit quelque chose d'entraînement physique. Un petit double, parce que j'ai dit que je vais lancer, bien sûr, je vais lancer l'entraînement physique avant l'été. Ça vient dans 22 jours, fait qu'aujourd'hui, lundi, le 2 juin, j'ai lancé une nouvelle petite session. Je vais essayer de perdre du poids et essayer de m'allonger un peu les muscles. Vous savez, j'ai commencé à m'entraîner il y a plus que 7 ans, en 2017. Après l'été de 2017, c'est le moment quand j'ai traversé le Canada de côte à côte que j'ai eu comme un réveil, une révélation, parce que avant cet événement dans ma vie, j'étais en dépression. J'étais suicidaire, j'étais en dépression. Fait que j'ai traversé le Canada, puis ça m'a fait établir un esprit de corps solide avec le Québec, les Québécois, de ma famille, du Canada de côte à côte, des États-Unis. Mais moi, je suis un mystique un peu, pas mal mystique, ma spiritualité, mais moi, je suis quelqu'un qui connaît ses réincarnations. Je suis quelqu'un qui pratique le Dieu, la déesse, le soleil béni, le rock'n'roll. Je pratique une spiritualité un peu, j'ai pas toutes les réponses, demandez-moi pas toutes les réponses, je les ai pas. On peut avoir une conversation spirituelle, mais j'ai pas toutes les réponses. C'est pas mal rock'n'roll, ma spiritualité, mais je crois à la réincarnation. Tu sais, des réincarnations, là. Des fois, j'étais né homme, des fois, j'étais né femme. Maintenant, c'est pour ça que vous avez 50-50. Dragon arc-en-ciel, monsieur, madame, aspire, artiste, athlète, philosophe. Et je vis avec cette condition de neurodivergence qui s'appelle l'Asperger's, aussi connu comme l'autisme hautement fonctionnel. Donc, j'ai beaucoup de souffrances, des empêchements, de difficultés à cause de ces choses, ces obstacles dans certaines choses. On n'est pas si bon dans le social, dans la communication sociale. On peut être direct un peu. On peut être un peu direct ou un peu brusque dans la communication verbale, pour le dire, dans ce converti qu'on a. C'est ça que je fais partie d'une petite minorité de moins d'1%, moins de 50, moins de 0,50, moins de 0. C'est moins de 0,5, hein. C'est que ça veut dire que c'est moins d'1%. On est 0,44% à l'Asperger's. 0,44, c'est pas beaucoup ça. 0,44, tu sais. Fait qu'il faut que, je le dis, je vais pas rentrer trop dans c'est quoi l'Asperger's. Je vais faire que dire que c'est nos cerveaux, ils ont des mutations. Fait que les cerveaux des aspis comme moi, ils ont certaines mutations. C'est pas des grosses mutations, là, mais c'est des petites mutations qui font une grosse différence de comment qu'on voit le monde et comment qu'on s'intéresse. là, de manière de communication verbale ou avec les autres, on a de la misère un peu. Puis on a ce qu'on appelle des caractéristiques, parce que c'est pas une maladie mentale. C'est quand même il y a beaucoup quand même de confusion vis-à-vis de l'Asperger's. Puis il y a certains gens, bien trop, qui devraient en avoir, ben, qui pensent que c'est une maladie mentale, comme c'est contagieux ou quelque chose comme ça. Non, c'est pas ça l'Asperger's. On a des mutations dans le cerveau, fait qu'on voit le monde différemment. On a certaines choses que on a de la misère dans certaines choses, tu sais. Fait que c'est sûr que dans d'autres choses, on est super bon. Surtout nos intérêts spéciaux, aussi connus comme les intérêts obsessifs. Surtout moi-même, c'est la géopolitique. Je suis un analyste de théorie en géopolitique. Parallèlement à l'entraînement physique, la danse et l'entraînement physique ainsi que le sport que je préfère, c'est la danse. Mais l'entraînement et le sport généralement, n'importe lequel, le conditionnement physique. Puis le rock'n'roll, c'est ça qui se passe avec moi 24/24. Soit des études et du travail indépendant en tant qu'artiste, athlète et philosophe et mystique, analyste de théorie en géopolitique, qui a été né des fois ici sur l'île de Montréal. Des fois aux États-Unis, homme-femme, femme-homme, servi dans l'armée des États-Unis 2 fois, dans 2 guerres différentes, 156 ans auparavant. Et bien sûr, c'est quelque chose que je veux voir, mais c'est sûr que je veux voir les gens faire des câlins, des bisous, puis ça me donne toujours l'espoir. Moi aussi, j'ai besoin d'un câlin, bien sûr, j'ai besoin d'un câlin moi-même pour le faire dans cette période difficile, tu sais. Moi aussi, tantôt, je filais pas 100%, j'étais comme, mais quand j'ai sorti, je commençais à m'entraîner, je commençais à me sentir mieux, puis j'ai dit, j'ai tellement besoin d'avoir un massage, faire un massage, bien sûr, thérapeutique, c'est quelque chose que j'aimerais en avoir un, mais je peux pas me le permettre, tu sais. Je peux pas me le permettre, bien sûr, mais c'est quelque chose, bien sûr, qu'il faut que je l'aille dans cette convertie, bien sûr, d'avoir de l'entraînement physique que je dois faire, mais... Et bien sûr, c'est quelque chose que je dois le faire moi-même, puis j'adore venir ici. Quand je viens ici, je me sens bien. Fait que déjà pour dire que dès que j'ai commencé l'entraînement, je me sentais mieux. Fait que ça fait le mieux maintenant. Là, j'étais en dépression, j'étais suicidaire. Hein, puis quand j'ai traversé le Canada, cet événement, ça m'a complètement sauvé ma vie. Puis depuis ce temps-là, j'ai plus de la dépression, j'ai juste une crise financière, tu sais. Fait que je vis juste une crise financière dans ce monde-là, tu sais. Juste une crise financière. Yeah. C'est qui? Et bien sûr, c'est des choses comme ça que je dois le faire moi aussi, dans cette convergence, de le faire, bien sûr. C'est des choses que je dois faire, une solution, tu sais. C'est des choses que je dois faire. Hein. Et bien sûr, c'est des choses que on doit faire le fonctionnement et je dois dire ma gratitude en regardant ce beau arbre parce que, tu sais, pour l'Asperger's, j'ai les caractéristiques de l'Asperger's. C'est sûr que dans certaines choses, comme répéter 2-3 fois la même chose ou, tu sais, l'espace personnel, c'est des choses que je dois travailler constamment, ainsi que de ne pas parler trop de mes sujets, là. Puis, tu sais, la manière qu'on communique, ça peut être un peu étrange. Avec les Asperger's, c'est des choses bien sûr qu'il faut qu'on fasse dans cette convergence de le faire ici, bisous, et faire l'X, Y, Z et Z. C'est des choses qu'il faut comme ça pour le voir. C'est des choses qu'il faut qu'on aille dans cette solution, bien sûr, pour le faire de la convergence, qu'on aille la solution de l'avoir aujourd'hui, l'avoir pour demain, tu sais. Fait que c'est des solutions qu'il faut qu'on y trouve. Puis moi, dans la géopolitique, je suis un analyste et théoricien en géopolitique, j'ai même prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant. Là. Je l'ai prévu. Je l'ai prévu, bien sûr. La 2019, c'est quelque chose, bien sûr, que je veux le prévoir. Puis, bien sûr, c'est quelque chose que je l'ai prévu moi-même pour le faire de la manière que je dois le faire aujourd'hui. Puis pour demain, puis il faut le faire aujourd'hui de cet entraînement physique que je suis moi-même un athlète, mais puis je suis fier d'avoir créé mon propre système d'entraînement physique qui ne requiert aucun équipement. Je dois le dire, je le répète, ça ne requiert aucun équipement, puis je suis très fier de mon travail indépendant en géopolitique parce que, je le répète là, mais j'ai prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant en 2019. En octobre-novembre, j'avais prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant. Bien, c'est sûr que pas chaque détail à chaque détail, mais d'une manière générale, j'ai prévu la situation actuelle. J'ai même la preuve. Hein. J'ai la preuve en ligne. J'avais prévu qu'à cause... Mais c'est sûr qu'il y a bien des détails un peu académiques, philosophiques, de la géopolitique, intellectuelle un peu, mais c'est sûr qu'en général, en résumé, c'est que à cause que j'ai prévu que des conflits n'ont pas été capables d'avoir de résolution finale du 20e siècle, que ces conflits-là, bien sûr, ils reprendront ici dans le 21e siècle. Fait que c'est des choses comme ça, bien sûr, qu'il faut qu'on fasse dans la tournée ici, qu'on est rendu le 2 juin, puis que je dis ma gratitude, j'ai payé mon loyer, j'ai pris ma facture d'électricité, j'ai du café et du thé, puis c'est quelque chose de moi-même qu'il faut que je fasse, la gratitude, parce que la gratitude, je pense que c'est très bon pour la santé mentale, au moins pour moi-même, puis c'est pour valoriser, là, que même si j'ai souffert, j'ai perdu des amis à cause de l'Asperger's, mais maintenant, je le dis clairement, je veux juste des amis avec bénéfice. On fait échange, on fait affaire, des amis avec bénéfice, seulement pour le rêve qui se manifeste comme le royaume de la déesse et du dragon qui danse. Prêtez allégeance, légion, vous êtes famille. Les corbeaux qui m'encouragent, ce sont les éperviers, mon oiseau. Les éperviers qui m'encouragent, bien sûr. Et j'adore les corbeaux, puis je suis androgyne pansexuel, monsieur, madame. Fait que c'est parti de la communauté LGBTQ1. Il fallait que vous ayez 18 ans et plus. Il faut venir me faire l'amour. Hein. Que vous soyez homme, femme, noir, blanc, femme, homme, noir, blanc, arc-en-ciel, blanc, noir, arc-en-ciel, homme, femme, si vous voulez me faire l'amour à mes bénéfices, bien, il va falloir que vous ayez 18 ans. Je vous carte comme si quand vous achetez le cannabis, le pot à SQDC, je ne niaise pas avec ça. Fait que, de cette manière que je me prononce ici, en étant à ma deuxième maison de Montréal et en vous encourageant à faire l'entraînement physique, car moi-même, j'ai perdu entre 80 et 93 livres. Entre 80 et 93 livres, j'ai perdu moi-même entre 80 et 93 livres depuis 2017. Quelqu'un doit chanter pour la police, du rock'n'roll. J'ai fait ma rédemption de criminel. J'ai composé des chansons que je veux chanter avec Céline. Ça s'appelle la rédemption criminelle. Parce que le rock'n'roll, c'est aussi mon intérêt spécial. Fait que j'en rock'n'roll tous les jours au quotidien des chansons, mais c'est un peu du folklore, un peu du moderne, un peu du 20e siècle, un peu du 21e siècle. Un peu de la chasse-galerie. Je sais pas si vous savez c'est quoi la chasse-galerie, là, si vous êtes millénaire, là, mais la chasse-galerie, si vous êtes millénaire, un petit peu de folklore québécois, mais c'est... je chante aussi pour ceux qui changent leur vie, hein, pour vous autres aussi. Hommes-femmes, si vous avez des gens en prison ou punis devant un juge ou en probation ou quoi que ce soit, si vous changez votre vie, je vous chante aussi du rock'n'roll pour vous aussi. Je vous chante aussi pour la sécurité de service, la sécurité, la justice, mais aussi pour ceux qui font leur rédemption. J'avais composé, moi-même, j'ai servi mon temps, j'imagine, parce que avant, tu sais, j'ai une perte de mémoire, là, l'amnésie, là, j'ai la misère à me rencontrer ma vie avant. Si je m'en vais 7 ans, c'est clair et net, je peux m'en souvenir 7 ans, 8 ans, 9 ans. Après, quand ça vient 10, après, quand ça vient 11 et plus, c'est comme en noirci à un moment donné. Fait que c'est des choses bien sûr qui font dans la noirceur pour me faire un peu de l'amnésie rétrograde. Je m'en souviens avoir été attaqué par surprise. Et c'est des choses qui m'ont fait attaquer par surprise dans le métro de Montréal. Je suis tombé, j'ai cogné ma tête. Et bien sûr, donné, puis j'ai cogné ma tête et c'est des choses que j'avais le bras droit disloqué. Et bien sûr, j'ai perdu ma mémoire, bien sûr. J'ai perdu ma mémoire dans ce sens d'avoir de la convergence. J'ai perdu ma mémoire, mais j'habitais dans une place comme une petite cellule de prison. Il y avait beaucoup de moisissures, fait que je m'en souviens pas, c'est pas clair. À ma vie avant ça, c'est que j'ai des documents qui disent que j'ai gradué le secondaire et que j'ai gradué le secondaire dans cette manière que d'autres choses que je possède. Mais j'ai déménagé vraiment avec rien là-bas, tu sais, où j'habite maintenant. J'étais en dépression suicidaire et bien sûr, j'avais traversé le Canada de côte à côte et c'est des choses de côte à côte que j'avais traversées qui m'ont fait changer ma vie parce qu'avant ça, j'étais en dépression, j'étais suicidaire et c'est des choses bien sûr qu'il faut que je fasse moi-même ici. J'adore venir ici, ça fait bien des années, je vous demande juste de ne pas polluer. Fait que des fois, la mémoire revient, puis comme je l'ai dit, je me suis fait attaquer par surprise. Je dois aller voir les archives à l'hôpital général juif de Montréal. J'étais tombé, j'avais cogné ma tête, j'avais le bras droit disloqué. Le bras droit disloqué, ils me l'ont recraqué, remis en place, les médecins, les docteurs, puis j'étais mis comme sur des médicaments, puis j'étais comme dans un coma, fait que ma vie avant ça, j'ai de la misère, j'ai comme des flashs de trombes, j'ai des cicatrices sur moi, sur mon corps, et bien sûr, j'ai bien sûr de l'entraînement physique. Bien sûr, l'entraînement physique que je fais, puis c'est des choses que je fasse moi-même dans cet entraînement physique. On pouvait me traiter de fils de pute, hein. J'espère que ma mère, c'était là. Je sais pas où, elle soit en santé, mais peut-être, c'est possible. Moi aussi, j'étais pas une pute, par exemple, j'étais une prêtresse de la déesse. Fait quand vous mentionnez, faites attention, c'est pour pas que la pestilence soit sur la langue. Pas que ça glace la pestilence sur votre langue après. Ça soit la pestilence sur votre langue après. Si vous me bénir, vous me saluez ou laissez-moi tranquille, s'il vous plaît. Pas besoin de tranquille. Fait que je suis hyper vigilant, mais j'aime pas la violence, hein. J'aime pas la violence. Je peux chanter une chanson de rock. Je pense pas que c'est pour moi, là, mais je pense pas parce que ça a montré le doigt, mais ça me dérange pas. Hein. Voilà. Le rock, je peux chanter. Je suis un fils de pute, je veux me marier avec une pute. Putain que j'ai été putain. À Rome, les légions de Jules César. Dans une vie homme-femme, que je chante de la belle province, le diable on a fait le pacte, la Galilée, la chasse. Hey, c'est le rock'n'roll, vous m'inspirez du rock'n'roll, mais en tout cas, faites attention ici, hein, parce que vous voyez là. C'est des branches qui viennent tomber en haut. On dirait un gros serpent ici, mais c'est pour ça que j'avertis les gens dans mes vidéos, vous voyez souvent. Fait qu'en tout cas, je dois avoir les archives, là, qui sont passées, tu sais, les archives. Laissez pas ça ici, s'il vous plaît, parce que ça peut être mangé par un écureuil, ça va tuer la faune et la flore. Jetez pas ça par terre, à moins que c'est compostable, là. Rien ici, je veux rien voir. Je veux pas voir de canettes, je veux pas voir de papier, rien qui n'est pas compostable. S'il vous plaît. On a cette place-là, dans la deuxième maison, c'est pas juste ma maison, là, mais on a cette belle place ici qu'on essaie de préserver, là. Fait que je vous demande un petit s'il vous plaît, là. S.V.P, s'il vous plaît. Et c'est dangereux, hein, vous voyez, là. La preuve, cette branche-là, hein, qui est là, vous voyez, là, est à veille de tomber bientôt, celle-là. Fait qu'il faut qu'on mette des signes, mes chers. Il y en a plusieurs, là, qui sont là. Vous voyez, celle-là. Elle se garde rien et est poignée sur les autres branches. C'est pour ça qu'il est de même. Comme ça qu'il est de même. Hein. Fait que soyez prudents dans la forêt. On n'est plus dans. Ici, hein. On n'est plus dans. Ici, vous êtes dans la forêt, mes chers, dans la sauvage. Fait que il faut que vous fassiez attention, mes chers. Si ça craque, ça rentre dans le fer, que ça fasse, bien sûr, pour me faire de l'individu, pour me faire en tant que citoyen, je veux être un bon samaritain le plus possible. En tout cas, là, on va aller voir les archives. Je m'en souviens pas c'était quelle année, là, mais comme j'ai dit, je me suis fait attaquer par surprise. Je suis tombé, je connais ma tête. J'avais le bras droit disloqué, là. le bras droit est disloqué, là, complètement, puis ils m'ont recraqué à l'hôpital général juif. J'ai été mis sur des médicaments, puis j'ai de la misère à me souvenir de ma vie avant ça. Fait que je peux aller en arrière 7, 8, 9 ans. Au 10e année, ça devient difficile. Après 11, là, ça devient comme un noirceur, un blackout. J'ai juste des flashs de ces flashs-là d'avoir été attaqué, puis comme habiter dans cette petite place, comme une petite cellule, puis il y avait beaucoup de moisissures. Il y avait beaucoup de moisissures. Fait que c'est des choses comme ça qu'il faut que je passe. Fait que c'est ici qu'on est rendu pour aller jusqu'en haut. On va faire attention pour pas que ça glisse. Ici, ça glisse. Hein. Fait que le plus vite que vous allez comme citoyen, le plus vite que vous allez, le plus en sécurité vous êtes. Le plus en sécurité vous êtes. C'est quelque chose que je dois le faire dans cet entraînement physique. Dans ces choses-là qu'il faut qu'ils soient ici. Mais autres aussi, c'est l'entraînement physique. Je me tasse de leur chemin le plus possible. Hein, parce que pas juste ma forêt, c'est la mienne, la tienne, la nôtre, la vôtre. Fait que quand je vois du monde qui jogue, vous voyez cette branche-là? Cette branche-là est tombée, craquée. Fait que ça, là, c'est dans le chemin. Hein, vous voyez, c'est pour ça que j'avertis les gens souvent. Ça, là, ça a tombé d'en haut, ça. C'est lourd, ça. Ouais, ça, il y a un danger ici. Vous entendez quelque chose craquer. Regardez en haut, puis ça a pris de rock'n'roll bouger comme un gymnastique, tu sais. Comme un gymnastique, de le faire, puis bouger tassez-vous de là, comme on dit. Fait que c'est ça, mes cicatrices, mes souffrances. Fait que ça fait juste 3 ans et demi, 4 ans, moi, je l'ai accepté parce que ça faisait bien des années, plusieurs citoyens, qui m'ont dit, mais tu sais que t'as l'Asperger, t'as l'autisme multifonctionnel. Plusieurs personnes m'ont dit, mais j'ai jamais voulu l'accepter parce que c'est comme un stigme, tu sais. Puis même quand vous l'avez plus que ça fait comme 7-8 ans, là, comme vous l'avez dit, plusieurs personnes, puis ben, là c'est de plus en plus démystifié, mais dans ce temps-là, c'était encore comme un stigme, c'était comme encore quelque chose de négatif, vu comme une maladie mentale, mais au 20e siècle, là, plus comme un 20e siècle, mais là, au 21e siècle, il y a eu bien sûr de changements pour le faire, il y a eu ce changement, dans ce changement, bien sûr qu'on a dû le faire nous-mêmes, c'est le changement, bien sûr, qu'on est rendu ici, puis on est rendu à l'être, puis on est rendu à avoir une petite fulgurance. Puis là, je ne veux pas tarder, juste l'Asperger, les autistes. Le problème, c'est que le taux de chômage, le taux de sans-emploi est très disproportionné à la population. Puis vous êtes, quand je dis vous, mais c'est les neurotypiques, c'est 99,56%. Nous, on fait partie de cette minorité de 1%, même pas 1%, même pas la moitié de 1%, 0,44%. Fait que, malheureusement, chez les Asperger, le taux de sans-emploi, il est entre 60 et 80%. Fait que c'est 11 fois plus que la population, là, de 5, 6, 7%, 8%. C'est 11 fois plus. Vous imaginez? Puis on est une petite minorité. C'est encore une fois, parce qu'il y a bien des gens qui pensent que c'est une maladie mentale. On peut être intense, on peut être super concentré, on peut être super dedans, super focusé. On a de la misère dans certaines choses. La société, nous, il faut nous le dire. Il faut nous le dire. C'est des choses qu'il faut nous le dire. Et c'est des choses, bien sûr, que je dois dire, oui, ok, je peux le faire. Des choses de même, tu sais. Si je peux le faire, ben je vais le faire. Juste me demander si c'est légal et entre adultes, que ça soit sexuel entre adultes, là, mais tu sais, c'est des choses comme ça, là, que des fois on peut demander des choses, puis on peut avoir une certaine misère dans ces choses d'interaction sociale. Tu sais, moi je n'aime pas la violence personnellement, je suis hyper vigilant, puis je joue la défense, fait que mes protocoles sont seulement pour la défense, vraiment. Puis encore une fois, c'est les Asperger comme moi-même, en étant aspi, pas juste le taux d'emploi, de sans-emploi, mais aussi bien sûr le taux d'emploi et aussi le taux de, bien sûr, tu sais, le taux en dépression, puis les tendances suicidaires. On est plus que la majorité, plus que les neurotypiques que vous constituez la majorité des gens. Fait que ces deux choses-là vont ensemble. Fait que moi-même, j'ai souffert à cause de l'Asperger. Mais j'ai mes forces maintenant. Mais je suis joyeux depuis bien des années. J'ai survécu la COVID. Hein. Je pensais que c'était mon dernier chapitre. Je célèbre 5 ans au début de février 2020. Et mars 2020, c'est quelque chose, bien sûr, qu'il faut qu'on aille moi-même. Et c'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut que je fasse dans cette embauche. Pour être embauché, je dois remercier qu'un citoyen m'avait offert 150 $ pour 5 ans. Fait que ça fait 150 divisé par 50, ça fait 30 $ de l'heure. Fait que c'était un beau salaire. Fait que c'est quelque chose que moi-même j'ai aimé dans ce point de vue et ce point de vue que moi-même j'ai eu le principe pour avoir de ces choses de principe, pas le principe pour les avoir de cette chose de la culture puis ces choses là que j'aime la géopolitique, mais c'est un amour un peu peut-être intense, concentré super dedans, c'est mon intérêt spécial, fait que je peux en parler pendant des heures, mais vous soyez bien préparé, mais moi je spécialise dans le 20e siècle de la géopolitique et le 21e siècle, puis encore une fois j'ai prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant, de manière générale j'avais prévu, vous voyez la grosse branche là, ça il y a un gros danger là-dessus, il y a un gros danger ici, soyez prudents si vous restez sur le terrain principal, moi je connais la montagne, mais je me suis mis un peu sur la mère nature de la déesse que j'appelle, mais c'est des choses bien sûr qui ils se font comme ça, puis c'est des choses bien sûr que moi-même je dois y travailler constamment, à faire un effort pour aviser les autres gens, les concitoyens quand ils viennent ou les touristes même. Fait que j'avais prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant pour faire un petit résumé, c'est que j'ai conclu qu'à cause des situations qui n'ont pas été des crises, des conflits qui n'ont pas eu de résolution qui dataient du 20e siècle, que ces conflits-là vont reprendre. C'était ça ma conclusion. Fait qu'à cause de ces conflits-là qui vont reprendre, j'avais conclu qu'il y aura les conflits vont reprendre du 20e siècle dans le 21e siècle. En Ukraine, la Russie, c'est ça qui arrive. Hein? Principalement, la Russie et l'Ukraine, c'est des conflits non résolus du 20e siècle. Israël puis la Palestine, la Hamas, c'est une organisation qui a été fondée dans les années 80 durant la guerre froide. Puis l'autre jour, il y a 2 semaines, on a vu le Pakistan puis l'Inde. Le Pakistan puis l'Inde, ils ont des armes nucléaires, les deux. Hein. Fait que c'était possible que ça soit nucléaire, même maintenant avec l'Ukraine qui vient de frapper supposément la Russie à l'intérieur, profondément dans la Russie, à l'intérieur des 3 régions, des 3. Alors, tu sais, le temps, tu sais, qu'on appelle le time zone en anglais, tu sais, les zones d'horloge, comme au Canada, on a 5, là. Tu sais, d'un côte à côte, comme maintenant, mettons à Montréal, il est peut-être 7h44, peut-être, 7h44. Mais à San Francisco, il faut enlever 3 heures, fait qu'il est 4h44 à San Francisco. C'est les zones temporaires, je pense, les zones de temps, là, on calcule le temps à l'horloge. C'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut qu'on aille, bien sûr, dans ce moment ici pour leur faire de l'embauche, puis pour leur faire le dire de la géopolitique, que je vous explique pour dire que j'ai prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe. Puis, bien sûr, que sur l'horizon, le Taïwan et la Chine, bien sûr, c'est un autre conflit qui n'a pas été résolu du 20e siècle, tu sais. C'est des choses qui n'ont pas été résolues du 20e siècle. Parce qu'il y a des conflits qui peuvent recommencer à chaque instant, tu sais. Ils peuvent recommencer, ces conflits-là. Fait qu'il va falloir qu'ils soient prudents. Fait que ces conflits-là, ils peuvent recommencer à chaque seconde, chaque minute, que ça soit de la gauche, de la droite, tu sais, c'est des choses qui dérangent pas ces choses-là, parce que qu'on soit nous ici de la gauche, de la droite, au centre, c'est des conflits que les autres n'ont pas été réglés là, du 20e siècle. La Chine puis le Taïwan. Taïwan puis la Chine et le Taïwan, ça date du 20e siècle. Fait que c'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut qu'on fasse attention, parce que même si on prend une position, il faut comprendre que moi, mes protocoles, mes initiatives sont seulement pour le collectif de civilisation du collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. Parce que même si je peux me prononcer d'une manière intellectuelle, académique sur ces conflits-là, puis je connais leurs idéologies, les histoires, ça reste que je suis québécois, canadien, nord-américain, que mon rêve soit le royaume de la déesse et du dragon qui danse, c'est fondamentalement un appel à un partenariat public-privé ici, tu sais, dans le collectif de civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord. Fait que c'est ça que j'ai quand même ce biais, on va dire, quand même, en tant que nord-américain, pour le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. Puis là, je vais pas tarder, je vais discuter de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Bien sûr qu'il faut que je la discute. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Ben, c'est un paradoxe parce que je vous mets ça sur la table. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, je suis en train de mettre ça sur la table. Puis c'est une théorie profondément qui va pouvoir nous sauver d'où qu'on est rendu aujourd'hui dans les finances publiques ainsi que privées, avec des records de cartes de dette. Il y a un surendettement, puis pas juste ça, mais l'intérêt qu'on paye sur les cartes de crédit, là, puis sur le reste public, c'est rendu majeur. C'est rendu tellement énorme qu'il n'y a pas de solution, qu'il y a la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est un paradoxe. Je peux vous mettre ça sur la table, dans cette paradoxe qu'on est rendu aujourd'hui, mais il faut que je vous dise vous-même que la TRD, c'est la situation, la solution qui peut nous sortir, au moins de point de vue, sur la Lune, sur le Soleil, la gauche, la droite, à ma main gauche, c'est la Lune, à ma main droite, c'est le Soleil. Fait que la Dieu, la déesse en concordance, la TRD. C'est quelque chose que je dois vous dire, puis vous discuter le plus tôt possible, parce que c'est la solution. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, ça contient dans elle la théorie d'intégration monétaire. Fait que la théorie d'intégration monétaire, c'est la théorie que les Européens ont fait de l'implémentation en Europe dans les années 90. Fait que c'est des choses comme ça qu'il faut qu'on fasse ici au point qu'on est rendu à payer. Durant la COVID, là, le montant de l'intérêt qu'on a payé, là, ça a été tellement énorme. Imaginez-vous que l'économie canadienne n'a pas augmenté de temps que l'intérêt sur la dette publique. Fait que c'est pour ça que le même principe s'applique quand je dis qu'il va falloir couper quelque chose dans le budget. Ça s'applique pour l'individu. Le principe mathématique s'applique pour l'individu et le citoyen, bien sûr. C'est des choses comme ça qu'il faut que je fasse moi-même. Fait que ça s'applique pour l'individu et le citoyen. Et voilà. Fait que là, on regarde, ça c'est l'est de la ville. Ça c'est l'est. Puis ça c'est bien sûr la Mont-Royal. Ici, vous pouvez voir oui, il y a de la poésie. Partout dans la montagne, il y a de la poésie. Mais il faut voir que vous parlez le français. Là. C'est tout en français. À chaque place, il y a de la poésie là, partout. Des poèmes. Pas ça match, là, mais il y a de la poésie partout dans la montagne. C'est comme un secret de la montagne. Là. Il y a un beau coucher de soleil. Hein. C'est écœurant. Wow! Et c'est ça qu'on va faire, bien sûr. On va faire ici une petite salutation solaire. Parce qu'on a ici construit le faire ici, bien sûr. Et c'est des choses comme ça. Et bien sûr, la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, on continue. Fait que pourquoi je dis c'est la solution? Ben c'est car on paie un record d'intérêt, même les dettes, les cartes de crédit, on est rendu à avoir un surendettement des cartes de crédit. Des cartes de crédit, on est à avoir un surendettement, mais bien sûr des cartes de crédit dans cette manière qu'on est rendu maintenant. Tiens. Fait que ce surendettement, il faut tenir compte que c'est simultanément les États-Unis et le Canada, on est dans une situation similaire. C'est Canada et les États-Unis. C'est pour ça qu'il faut faire l'implémentation de ma TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Théorie de la refusion de la dette. Il faut faire l'implémentation de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Il faut faire l'implémentation à travers le collectif des États-Unis et le collectif nord-américain qui inclut le Québec, le Canada, les États-Unis, à travers les 63, les 10 provinces, 50 États et 3 territoires. Puis ça presse. On est peut-être demain, là, peut-être le tarif commence sur l'aluminium, sur l'acier, là. plus de 25% qui se rajoutent aux 25%, imaginez-vous. Il faut qu'on soit réaliste. En termes de géopolitique, notre intérêt principal, fondamentalement, c'est d'avoir les meilleures relations avec les États-Unis. Ça, c'est comme le symbole pi, c'est constamment la même chose. Il n'y a pas de oui, il n'y a pas de non, c'est constamment la même chose. C'est constamment cette théorie, c'est constamment, ça s'applique. Ça s'applique, cette théorie. Fait que bien sûr, en tant que cette théorie s'applique, il faut le dire qu'il faut faire l'implémentation de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, il faut faire la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, il faut faire l'implémentation. Donc c'est ça qu'il faut faire, la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, qui contient dedans elle la théorie d'intégration monétaire, c'est que la théorie que les Européens ont fait l'implémentation dans les années 80. Encore une fois, là, on se rajoute, on est proche d'avoir un effondrement des finances. Et mercredi, le nouveau tarif qui se rajoute de 25%, 85% de nos exportations s'en vont aux États-Unis. Le roi est absent, là. Le roi est absent, le roi est absent. C'est le temps pour la République. C'est le temps qu'on fusionne à ma manière, sur le rêve du royaume de la déesse et du royaume qui danse, pour les 10 provinces, 50 États et 3 territoires. C'est ça qu'il faut qu'on fasse. Ici, moi-même, de l'île de Montréal, tu sais, c'est quelque chose que je dois dire, de cette concordance, pour avoir du territoire, pour avoir, bien sûr, à faire certaines choses qu'il faut qu'on fasse nous-mêmes. Nous-mêmes, il faut qu'on fasse nous-mêmes ici. Il faut qu'on le fasse par nous-mêmes ici, dans le collectif nord-américain. La TRD, je vous l'explique, c'est un paradoxe que je mets sur la table, là, avec des bisous, des milliards de bisous, des châteaux et des câlins, la TRD, mais c'est ça que je mets sur la table. C'est un paradoxe, mais c'est la solution, mes chers. Il n'y a pas d'autre solution, vous pouvez vous ostiner tant que vous voudrez, mais à moins que ça soit quelque chose qui ressemble à la TRD, mais le coût de la vie, là, il a augmenté tellement durant 5 ans, là, juste le prix de gaz, le prix de l'égout, le prix qui sont débordés dans les hôpitaux, les services sociaux, comment ça s'appelle, les banques alimentaires. Moi-même, vous voyez que je suis allé passer au début de la vidéo, là. Je passe à la banque alimentaire commune, j'aimerais ça mettre de quoi. Peut-être j'ai fait 150 $, je vais peut-être essayer de voir parce que faut que je paye mes dettes, là, mais je prends un principe de 10% de dons, là, de dons, de charité, là, pour les millionnaires et milliardaires. C'est le capital, il faut qu'on l'investisse, hein, sinon ça stagne, là. Fait que bon, la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, théorie de la refusion de la dette. La théorie de la refusion de la dette, ça contient la théorie d'intégration monétaire. C'est un paradoxe parce que comme un tiers de cette théorie est inspiré par un livre que j'ai eu en cadeau durant les temps des fêtes en 2018, en décembre, pour Noël. C'était un peu un livre conspiratoire, là. Mais il y avait beaucoup de vérité dedans, des pratiques de banques, du système financier et des banques de l'ancienne Égypte, Sumérie, Babylone, la Chine, l'empire chinois de la dynastie de Han, de 2300 ans, là, avant Jésus-Christ, mais puis d'autres, bien sûr, l'Empire romain, puis l'Empire britannique, puis ça parlait beaucoup de la grande crise de récession qu'on appelle, qui a commencé en juillet 2007, puis ça a duré jusqu'en 2010. Fait que ça parlait beaucoup de cette crise-là, des finances, de la grande crise, de la grande récession. Moi-même, ma mémoire, ça me recule en arrière, mais c'est sûr que je sens là, je n'ai pas de mémoire. Salut! Parles-tu français? Be careful, the more you stay here, sometimes the branches fall. You speak English?
Yeah.
So sometimes the more you stay here, the slower you go. You see there's branches on the side? See like branches all over? So
Where you can see them fall?
yeah, sometimes I see them fall. I never got hit myself, but now it's not windy, but be careful. The more you stay here,
The better the chances.
yeah, and the slower you move. So just be prudent, buddy. You're welcome. C'est ça, je l'ai dit, qu'il soit prudent parce que, tu sais, il y a les branches qui tombent, là, ici, puis il faut l'indiquer que ça rentre, tu sais, parce que je veux pas que ça tombe sur la personne, tu sais. Faut, comme tantôt, vous avez vu, il y a des branches qui tombent, fait que juste qu'il soit prudent, là, comme, parce que, tu sais, si tu vas moins vite, tu sais, vous avez cette branche-là est tombée d'en haut, fait que il faut que je fasse cette convergence pour les autres aussi, parce que des fois, il y a les branches qui tombent d'en haut. Fait que, tu sais, ces branches-là. Salut! Faites attention ici, le plus que vous restez, vous êtes en danger à cause des branches qui tombent, à cause des arbres qui ne sont pas à 100% en santé. Comme vous voyez, ces branches-là, là. Tu sais, on check ça. C'est une branche tombée, fait que vous êtes, le plus de temps que vous restez ici, le plus tranquille que vous marchez, le plus vous êtes en danger. Là.
Ouais, non, de toute façon, on volait juste vite au belvédère à côté.
Ah ouais, juste vous le dire, là. Ciao, ciao. puis les autres. Fait que c'est des choses, des branches parce qu'ils tombent, qui vont tomber d'en haut. Salut. Ça va bien? Parlez-vous français?
No.
Be careful, the more you stay here, because here you see the falling branches.
Yeah.
You speak English? So the more you stay here in the wilderness, in the woods, you gotta, now there's not that windy, so you're less at risk. The more you stay, the more slow you go. If you go deeper, just be careful. I just picked a few and tossed them on the side.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I do.
Is the cemetery here? Down here?
The what?
The cemetery.
Oh, I'm gonna show you. Oh, you wanna go to the other side? You're gonna go down by that side.
I don't have to go that far. But
You guys coming from the Belvedere?
no.
Oh, you didn't go see the Belvedere?
No.
The chalet?
Oh, we saw the chalet. Yes.
Oh, you saw the city? See all these? See all these?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and this is like my second home. And you see all these branches? Yeah, they all come down. So the more you stay, the slower you go. Velocity and speed and calculation from the velocity of above. Absolutely. I don't want to get technical about it because whatever, but I lived it myself. They almost fell on me. I was filming even. I have it on camera. Like, Jack! Yeah. So where are you guys from?
Vancouver, BC.
Oh, you're Canadians?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got trails and trees falling down too. I know what you mean.
Vancouver, BC, eh? I loved when I went there, 2017.
Oh yeah.
2017, yeah, that was so nice. So you guys want to go to the cemetery?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Is it worth
Is
going
it
there?
something to see or?
Well, if you want to go see the oratory, maybe best, or you can see the sunset here. Yeah, sunset here. There's a sunset there. Sunset. I guess it's worth it. Yeah, it's definitely worth it if we catch it. First time in Montreal?
Yeah.
What brings you to Montreal?
Oh, just checking things out.
Look at this. See this?
Yeah.
There we go. No French at all?
A little bit. Grade 10.
Grade 10, eh? There you go. You're much safer here. Much safer than in the wilderness. And there's the sunset.
Perfect. Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Please only consume Quebec-made products. Quebec cheese, Quebec wine. And one more thing, guys know that when you're here, you consume all the electricity, zero pollution, zero emission.
It is 0?
None of the electricity that you consume has any pollution whatsoever because it comes from the water.
Yeah, same with us.
Oh yeah.
Take care.
Okay. Ils sont plus en sécurité qu'ils sortent ici à cause des branches, tu sais. Fait que c'est des choses comme ça qu'il faut qu'on fasse. Ben, je vais pas leur donner, mais ils m'ont fait un effort un peu en français, là, mais c'est juste l'effort, ça me dérange pas de les guider, tu sais. Dans ce sens-là, ça me dérange pas de les guider, fait que juste pour les guider un peu, parce que faut qu'il y ait le soleil, voir le soleil, là, puis le coucher du soleil, ça vaut la peine de voir l'est de Montréal, là. Je pense que c'est quelque chose qui vaut la peine, tu sais, puis il y a tellement de choses à voir, puis à Montréal, je peux leur faire un guide, je vais envoyer la Chine, j'en ai eu sur la rivière, j'en ai eu sur la la belle ville, la belle île, ils peuvent aller tellement de choses là. Moi-même, je découvre, ça fait des années, j'habite dans cette ville, dans une autre, j'en découvre. Fait que là, c'est la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, la théorie de la refusion de la dette, la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Il faut que je fasse moi-même une refusion, puis leur dire dans cette vérité, bien sûr, que ça soit ici pour le faire, dans cette vérité, bien sûr, pour le faire ici, bien sûr. pour dire que la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est quelque chose qu'il faut faire l'implémentation le plus tôt possible à cause et dû qu'on a payé tellement là, de dettes, on a un surendettement, tellement un surendettement pour affaires, pour les avoir ici, le surendettement, là, qu'on est rendu à un point de critique, à un point de convergence pour le faire dans ce mode de style de vie qu'on vit, puis les cartes de crédit, puis l'augmentation du salaire n'a pas gardé le pas, n'a pas gardé le rythme de l'augmentation du coût de la vie, puis bien sûr, les cartes de crédit ont augmenté, fait qu'on est à la fois. Et demain, c'est possible un effondrement de la bourse, mercredi, un nouveau tarif s'en vient sur l'industrie l'industrie, bien sûr, canadienne. L'industrie canadienne, bien sûr, du fer. J'ai travaillé dans la galvanisation durant la COVID. Ben, c'est pas ça, c'est pas pour moi, c'est pas juste pour moi, c'est pas pour vous. C'est la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, là. TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, que ça soit dans la convergence de la principe pour le faire. De la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Fait que TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, je vous l'explique. La TRD, ça contient, puis c'est la théorie d'intégration monétaire, ce qui est la théorie que les Européens ont fait l'implémentation dans l'Europe en des années 90 et bien sûr maintenant au 20e siècle, ça fait qu'on est rendu à avoir de ce point-là de convergence pour le faire bien sûr dans ce point de vivre qu'on vit maintenant. Et le 2 juin 2025, il va falloir bien sûr qu'on fasse l'augmentation et l'implémentation de cette affaire de l'histoire, de faire l'implémentation de la TRD pour qu'on soit bien sûr dans cette convergence de finance, on peut avoir une catastrophe. Tu sais, les petites branches, là, mais c'est tombé, c'est assez, hein, sur les bicyclettes, imaginez qu'ils viennent passer, hein. Ça, je vous ai dit, même ça peut endommager quelqu'un. Celle-là, une, tu sais, il y en a 3, la Sainte-Trinité, là, vous voyez, ça endommage, ça. Tic. Ça aurait pu se tomber, c'est tombé de la même, c'est juste qu'à craquer en bas, je pense, en 3 pièces, ou 3, ils sont tombés d'en haut, crac, crac, crac. Hey, c'est un danger ici, faites attention, méchant. Chose là, il n'y a pas de vent beaucoup, là, mais ça peut commencer nulle part, un gros vent, puis vous êtes là, vous savez pas, les touristes, ils savent pas, puis tchic, clac, clac, tu sais, on essaie d'éviter, hein. Sécurité, prudence, liberté, travail. Puis bien sûr, la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Il faut qu'on fasse l'implémentation, bien sûr, de la théorie de la refusion de la dette. Bien sûr, c'est la théorie qui va nous sauver. Fait que je vous l'explique, ça contient intégré dans ma TRD, ça intègre la théorie de intégration monétaire, ce qui est la théorie que les Européens ont fait de l'implémentation. Fait qu'on va devoir prendre toute la dette publique-privée. Fait que mon 10 000, ton 10 000, son 10 000, de côte à côte. Puis bien sûr, on va faire la conversion dans la devise des États-Unis. On va faire l'addition avec la dette des États-Unis ensemble. Et bien sûr, il faut que ça soit simultanément États-Unis et Canada ensemble. C'est la même situation précaire qu'on est les Canada et États-Unis dans une situation similaire. Puis ma TRD, c'est pour le collectif, que s'appelle le grand collectif de la civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord, soit les 10 provinces, 50 États et 3 territoires pour les 63. On va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, on va faire la conversion de la dette publique-privée. Et bien sûr, toute cette dette publique-privée, on va faire la conversion. On va ramasser ensemble, on va faire l'addition avec la dette publique-privée des États-Unis. Et bien sûr, on va faire l'addition. Et bien sûr, qu'est-ce qu'on va faire? La création d'une nouvelle banque centrale en Amérique du Nord, puis la création d'une nouvelle monnaie, soit la UI, U point unité, point échange ou point universel. U point unité, U point échange ou point universel. La UI, la unité d'échange universel. U point unité, point échange ou point universel. U point unité, point échange ou point universel. L'unité d'échange universelle aura la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. Et bien sûr, on va faire, avec cet argent-là, on va mettre un taux d'intérêt de 10% maximum. On va rebâtir l'infrastructure du collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, les aqueducs, les ponts, les aéroports, bien sûr, les terrains, puis bien sûr, les chemins, puis bien sûr, les autoroutes. On va bâtir plus de centrales d'Hydro-Québec, financer les gens en entraînement physique, fonder, construire, bâtir les 44 tunnels, inspirés par la montagne Cheyenne, qui est le siège social de la NORAD, l'Alliance militaire Canada-États-Unis. On va faire, bien sûr, bâtir plus de centrales d'Hydro-Québec, financer les gens au tourisme parce que ça fait du bien, puis on va fonder les 2 institutions de partenariat public-privé pour la SSD, pour les 63, Sécurité, Services et Défense, puis l'Armée du du dragon, soit la Légion de sécurité, de service et de défense, basée sur mes nouvelles philosophies d'intégration du dragon pour le service de défense de 9.1, les nouveaux protocoles de 9.1 pour la sécurité, service et défense totale que j'avais écrit il y a une couple d'années. Puis bien sûr que je continue moi-même à développer. Il faut que je les trouve sur un clé de USB, que j'en ai plusieurs, là, mais il faut écrire à la main ou sur l'ordinateur. Puis bien sûr, on va faire financer bien des bonnes choses. On va mettre un taux d'intérêt de 10% maximum. Après ça, il ne pourra pas avoir des prêts qui va dépasser le 10%. Ça va être un nouveau principe. On va financer les gens à l'entraînement physique, à financer les gens au tourisme. On a bien sûr de côte à côte, océan à océan. On va faire un grand recensement. On va faire la création d'un passeport commun. La création de cette nouvelle monnaie, on va voir qui peut servir dans l'armée du dragon, qui va s'appeler officiellement, bien sûr, la Légion nord-américaine pour la SSD, Sécurité Service Défense, qui sera bien sûr un partenariat public-privé, comme cette nouvelle banque, puis mon rêve, qui est fondamentalement un appel à un PPP, partenariat public-privé, à travers le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. Et bien sûr, on va financer les gens en entraînement physique. Il faut qu'on construise ces 44 tunnels-là aussitôt, parce qu'il est possible qu'il y ait une guerre nucléaire. Fait que ça presse. Puis c'est urgent, puis la TRD pour la création de l'UI, U point unité échange universel, U point unité point échange universel, on ne s'ostinera pas parce que c'est pareil en anglais, c'est UI en anglais, fait qu'on ne s'ostinera pas là-dessus, c'est UI, unité d'échange universel, fait qu'on n'a pas à s'ostiner sur l'UI, on va faire le grand compromis, financer bien sûr le Colisée du peuple nord-américain pour le sport à perpétuité 24/24 sur la frontière canado-états-unienne, et où moi et Donald Trump on va se boxer un peu pour l'inauguration. Et bien sûr, le temple de la déesse oubliée. On va bâtir la maison du dragon, pyramide écarlate rouge. Écarlate, c'est rouge, là, dans le fond. Et bien sûr, bâtir le temple de la déesse oubliée, le palais du peuple arc-en-ciel pour mener l'heure divergent. Prêtez allégeance, les gens, vous êtes famille. Prêtez allégeance, les gens, vous êtes famille. Prêtez allégeance, les gens, vous êtes famille. Ou des amis avec des bénéfices seulement. Hey, let's go, get ready for that cadence. We're at the top of the mountain, let's go for that cadence. Cadence, get ready for the Dragonomic cadence, property of the Dragon Army. Let's go, Dragon Army, pledge your allegiance. Founded by Adrian Hanna Dragon, rebirthing right here, bury me right here. Third of me at the back of the Belvedere, Conjure Knock, my second home. A third of me, send in New Jersey, with Papa Crowley in New Jersey. With Papa Crowley in New Jersey, with Papa Crowley. A third of me, send at the pyramids. One third right here, and we can build the Forgotten Goddess Temple and the House of the Pyramid right there. Get ready, we're gonna get rock and roll. Property of the Dragon Army created freestyle mode in the marching steps. On the backpack, disinfect and get ready on the go. Dragon Army, here we rock and roll for the butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, firefighters, plumbers, electricians. Rock and roll cadence special, I think the 14th, 15th, maybe the 16th. June 2nd, 2025 or post 1904, however you're gonna X that. Roman numerals was the dictum of the book of the law, was lost by 5 years until 1909 or so. Clock is ticking, hawk, H-A-W-K. Pledge your legions, Dragon Army cadence. On the toes we go, freestyle mode, property of the Dragon Army, please. Only use as if you're an ally, an army, and pledge your legions. Let's get the Dragon Army coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Ready for the rock and roll, here we go. With no trouble on the road and in and out. At the top of the Belvedere, Conjure Knock, going back from my second home to my other home. Got homes here, and the third home, the whole island. And the fourth dimension is the city of the pyramids. Fourth dimension, city of the pyramids. First dimension, city of the pyramids. So here we are at the top of the Belvedere. My second home, or I guess it's both my homes where I live now, still on the ground. And pledge your allegiance, cadence. Let's go, Dragon Army. Marching east and west and north and south. I hear the sound and hear the thunder, black, white, and rainbow. Dragon Army, here we go. Channel the aggression with push-ups and hugs. We channel the aggression with push-ups and hugs. We channel the aggression with push-ups and hugs. Gotta get it on steel toes. For the butchers on the road, for the truckers, nurses, doctors, for the electricians and the plumbers, for those construction workers on steel toes, working on steel, for the 63, the Montreal to San Francisco, 10 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories of the kingdom, 63 we gotta be, on the go you gotta see, on the go you gotta be, on the go you gotta lead, on the go you gotta lead, on the go you gotta bleed. Hey, where there's bees, there's honey, gotta get it, it ain't all about the money. Gotta get it, ain't nobody born a dragon. 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 Gotta see it on the road. Gotta put it on steel toes. Gotta get it before you know, before you blow. Gotta get it on the dough. Gotta get it on the dough. Gotta get it so you know. To get it so you be. To get it so you see. Gotta get it so you know. Gotta get it so you be. On the toes and gotta be. Because let's go. Up. A cold clap. Cold. There we go. Take joke. Okay, nobody saw. Nobody saw. It's 24/7. 24/7 web. Wanna we got some bonus. Run in. Who run it? No. Yeah. Got a wrap. You should do. So now we do. Let's go, continuing the cadence. Dragonomic cadence, rock and roll. Rock and roll, rock and roll, rock and roll. That's all you gotta get it on to do. Rock and roll upon you do. You rocked it like it. You We still the good guys, still the good guys. We still the good guys, still the good guys. Hypocrite. Hang on. Hers doesn't it? Hypocrite. Let's go. Dragging on me on the go. Yeah. Go. What did? Yeah. Stay on the good, guys. Got it. Even. You got it. Shit. Pop. Here we go. Gotta get it on the go, you know. So that's so we gotta get drilled, man. Happy. Let's get it. Get rolling, you know. Dragging on me, 24/7 on the clock. Gonna be that new 911 protocols. 63 10 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and that's how we're gonna get doing it, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, you know. That's how we're gonna get doing with that, and we don't need no magic potion. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Need no magic potion. We don't need no magic potion. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. For the 63 we roll, for the 63 we roll. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean, that you know we gotta love. See how many people there? That's a Belvedere. You gotta go there. You shouldn't go. That's my favorite spot. I don't want to stay much because, to be honest, I was getting hungry. So I gotta head back headquarters, man. I don't want to be too much today, too many hours, you know, because it's on that clock and woke up early, so I gotta get some rest, you know. So coast to coast, ocean to ocean. We don't need no magic potion. Got a left and a right and side for the farmers and the butchers. for the truckers, electricians, plumbers, the plumbers and the plumbers, firefighters, doctors, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. We don't need no magic potion. Gotta get it for the left. Gotta get it for the right. 63, we in the sight. Some of my dragons are black. Some of my dragons are white. Some of my dragons are black, white. Some of my dragons are white, black. Some of my dragons are white, black. Some of my dragons are black, white. Some of my dragons are rainbow. Some of our dragons are dragonesses. Some of my dragons are dragonesses. Some of my dragons are dragonesses. You don't know where we go. Across the mountains, across the rivers, the valleys, in the cities, in the wilderness, sunrise and sunset. In the wilderness, sunshine and sunrise and sunset. Sun is rising and setting every second. There's a sunrise and a sunsetting. So let's go, Dragon Army cadence. 14th or 16th is started the cadence 2025. Freestyle mode, of course. Sometimes I remember them singing the past days, weeks, and past month in May, but sometimes I gotta get that creative. Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Dragon Army march and slay. Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. There's the hawk. That's the hawk sound, baby. I think there's 2 hawks there. Yeah. See? See the movement? Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Another hawk. Oh no, that's an owl though. Those are owls maybe. Yeah, that's an owl. Yeah, that's an owl. Owl, owl, owl. Whoop, there's coming another one. Yeah, those are owls. Hey, owl, owl, owl. What's the hour, hour, hour? Hey, owl, owl, owl. What's the hour, hour, hour? Hey, owl, owl, owl. What's the hour, hour, hour? 3 owls, that's a good omen. Good omen for me and my allies and armies. Pledge your allegiance. Hey, owl, 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 what's the hour? Where's the tower? And you know I rock and roll it. That's the beautiful, you turn your head 360. I guess I'd have changed it so 360 so that you see it's following me with the eye. Say, go, dragon, go. That's my only fans. On me ready to cheer for me in the flora and the fauna. Thanking me for the service over the past 7+ years and more in the past life. To clean here in the mountain as I do every day. Let's go. We saw the owl, so gotta go home. Owls. Hey, we're not demons, we are dragons. 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 Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. We are not demons, we are dragons. La, 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 gotta sing. We are not demons, we are dragons. We are not demons, we are dragons. We are not some demons, we are dragons. What is the sentence? Is the dragon army's cadence? What is the sentence for the 63? 24/7 dragon army cadence. Some of my dragons are dragonesses. Ooh, nobody is born a dragon. That's the motto of the dragon army. Nobody is born a dragon. That's the motto of the dragon army. Nobody is born a dragon. Nobody is born a dragon. That's the motto of the dragon army. Nobody is born a dragon. That's the motto of the dragon army. Nobody is born a dragon, not including me. Rainbow dragon. When I raise a finger and ask who I am, you say General Dragon Zero, aka Rainbow Dragon. If I have 2 fingers, you say General Dragon Zero, aka Rainbow Dragon, aka Clit Dick. If 3 fingers, you say you are General Dragon, aka Rainbow Dragon, aka Clit Dick Dick Clit, aka greatest cuckold in the universe. So you gotta learn those. 1 finger, 2 fingers, 3 fingers. Dragon Zero, Dragon Zero, Dragon Zero, Rainbow Dragon Zero, Dragon Zero. Many nicknames if you greatest cuckold in the universe. Get back to cadence. Back to the cadence of the dragon army. From Montreal to San Francisco, 4063 and 40 SSD. Hey, we standing for security, service, and defense. For the 63, we are dragons, not some demons. We are dragons, not some demons. Some of my dragons are black. Some of my dragons are rainbow. Some of my dragons are white. Some of my dragons are black, white. Some of my dragons are white, black. Some of my dragons are black, white. Some of my dragons are black, white. Hey, 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 hey. On the season, on the march. Gotta get it for you starch. On the season, on the march. On the coast, ocean to ocean. Ports for the dock workers and the plumbers. Electricians and the nurses. Firefighters. Hey, 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 firefighters. Hey, 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 firefighters. You gotta get it photos. In the daycares, change some diapers. In the daycares, change some diapers. In the daycare, change some diapers. Gotta be, so let me see. Hey, 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 we are not from demons, we are dragons. Hey, 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 we are not some demons, we are dragons. Gotta get it, so you say. We gotta love it every day. In the spark, ready to sunshine. Gotta give it, sing it one more time. Towards the sun we go, we ride. Everything we gonna be in the right. Towards the sun we go, we ride. In the sunset and sunrise. Dragons on the 24, on that 7 on the go. For the plumbers, butchers, bakers. Nurses, doctors, electricians. Firefighters and the plumbers. Gotta get it so you know. On the left and on the door. Knocking on the door you go. On the go you know some more. Gotta get it so you see. Gotta get it so you be. Gotta get it so you see. Gotta get it so you be. On the left and on the right. Gotta get it so you sight. Thành được. Yeah, yeah. Il faut pas. Oui. C'était les marques. Hypocrite. Hypocrite. You told me nothing. Spend it on. And then Whoop. Hey, there we go. So we gotta get doing a little bit more cadence, finishing with another cadence with a rock and roll. We gotta get it on the doer side of things. And that's how we gotta get doing on the go now. And we gotta get doing for the butchers, bakers, nurses, and see that moon. We got the moon and the sun conjoined. So, and the moon and the sun, and they gotta get the one. And the moon and the sun, and they gotta get the one. And the moon and the sun, and they gotta get the one. The moon and the sun, and they gotta get the one. And the moon and the sun, and they gotta get the one. And they do when they see, and they see, and they do. Gotta get it for the dragons, gotta get it for the butchers. Gotta get it for the electricians and the plumbers and the bakers. Gotta get it, dragon. Hey, for the cadence, please. Don't leave the trash here. Just put it in the recycling, please. If it goes, of course, if it's not empty, you gotta empty. But otherwise, you put it in the recycling. It looks empty to me, so it's recyclable now, you know. So see, because you got that recycling, so gotta have to disinfect my hands. So it takes the individual effort. If we don't do it, if I don't do it, you don't do it, then it's not being done properly. So it's something which we gotta be meditating on, but it's gotta be done. Please, 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 just put it in and do that recycling proper and take care of the environment, you know. Please, please, please. I don't mind you out drinking, but just you got that recycling, so it gotta be recycled. So here we go. Oh, see if I drop this and put it back up the cap. So that's how we're gonna get drilling, man. Head back to headquarters right away. No time to waste, because I'm getting hungry, to be honest. So I think I'm just gonna elongate a bit, because I got 3 hours. So if I elongate to 5, if I go by that way, it's gonna be 5. So what I mean to say is that so I started filming right at the beginning, so because I've been on the march, like it's just in and out. I didn't spend too much time. I just at the top. So finishing with the cadence, you know how it is, 3 hour sessions. From here to my place is still another 2 hours, so I'm gonna probably clock in more than 5. So that's gonna be another dribble, and that's gonna be another spit, and that's gonna be another Monday, another marching. And I try to aim average 4 hours a day. So if I aim by end of Friday by midnight, I gotta do at least 20, starting Sunday sunset. So yeah, I'm on the way, because the route. I know the routes which I'm gonna take, so it's probably gonna be 5 hours, maybe a little bit more than 5 hours today, because I'm going south. So basically, I'm going south through the Westmount, and then I'm going west. I'm going back west, so it's gonna be 15 more kilometers, not miles though, kilometers. Okay, so let's finish with the cadence, and I'm gonna recycle this properly down there. So hey, we gotta go over time that you know, dragging on me. We are 40 SSD, we are 40 SSD. Montreal to San Francisco, we are dragons, not some demons. Montreal to San Francisco, we are dragons, not some demons. Montreal to San Francisco, we are dragons, not some demons. Montreal to San Francisco, we are dragons, not some demons. Montreal to San Francisco, we are dragons, not some demons. Gotta get it for the rope, and gotta get it for the slope. Gotta get it so you know. Hey, we gotta say. Gotta be and gotta live, and gotta be and gotta see, and gotta be and gotta live. For the left and right we be, for the left and right we see, for the left and right we do. These on left and right and set, and these on left and right and bet. These on gamble, that's upsets, give it. Hey, for the dragon, that's the best, and for the dragon, that's the left. For the dragon, that's the left, and the right, you know we kiss. Kisses by the trees, got them. Black and white and rainbow dragons. Kisses by the trees, we got them. Black and white and rainbow dragons. Some of my dragons are homos. Some of my dragons are homos. Some of my dragons are homos. Gotta get that defense. Democratic, Republican here. Republican, Democrat, pro-labor, and love universal revolutionary centrist. That represents the three-peak mountain. We're here, we're here, we're here. You're here, we were here. So you can see three peaks. 1, 2, and 3. The three-peak mountain right at the center. Between the east and the west, right in the center, but south of the north. So let's get it for the 63. Pledge your allegiance, legions, thou our family. Dragon Army cadence. Down the stairs we go up and down. On the stairs we go up and we go down. So now I'm gonna head back towards the moon. I came towards the sun and head back towards that moon. And here's the recycling. So you gotta put that recycling properly and close it properly, and please make sure that only recycling you put there. This is super important. That's green is for recycling, and the other one is for the garbage. So if I check, see, some things gotta go in the recycling, don't go in the garbage. Do the individual, see? The individual, pledge your allegiance, legions. That's all we gotta get doing. And pledge your allegiance, legions. We gotta get that SSD for the black, white, and rainbow, for the free, the strong, the loving, for the free, the strong, the loving, for the free, the strong, the loving. Pledge your allegiance.